Footy and Frothies back again for our SuperCoach Speculation show. Beautiful vista there behind Barney. Looking magnificent over your shoulder there, David.
It's finally cooled down a little bit, which is nice.
Lovely conditions in Western Sydney. I've tucked into some honey-baked ham, or smoked ham, I suppose. Had a good feed. So tummies are full, beers are cold, and we're going to talk some bullshit as per normal. How are you, David?
Yeah, very well, mate. Baked up the ham, as you mentioned, and we all had a good feed from the local butcher here in South Penrith. So it's fantastic. One of the better hams I've had for a while.
Yeah, it was very good. We're joined today to talk early SuperCoach prices. Obviously, we know it's a while away yet, and we've got some trials to get through, and obviously a very important team list Tuesday, round one. But joining us first of all is our defending, reigning, undisputed SuperCoach champion 2 years in a row, Danaan.
Thanks for having me on again.
Face of real estate in Western Sydney.
I wish. I wish.
A-face.
A-face. A-face, not the face.
I actually saw a sign of yours on the way out to Mount Druitt shops the other day, and if it had been a slightly less busy road, it would have been to face. But anyway, it's nice to see you out there, Dan.
Didn't have time to stop.
Business booming?
Business is going well.
Good. And also joined by Gregory, GT. Back again. Last time you would have been to Bold Prediction Show.
That's my cable.
That probably explains why it's not working.
Stop fucking around with it.
There we go. All right. What's happening? Hello.
Yeah, I'm very glad that the week's over. It's been an absolute hell of a week at work, short-staffed and a lot of stuff to do, but we're into the weekend now and we'll enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, we'll touch on some news and some Q&A before we get into the business end. I guess the main news is they've made what I believe is the 20th rule change in the last 5 seasons. That's the dropouts and kickoffs as well. More to the point, that don't go 10 metres are no longer a penalty. They're now a play the ball. Who wants to have first crack at this one?
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, to be honest. To me, it seems to... obviously, it's going to possibly save a few minutes in a game with the short contested kickoff rather than having to set up for a shot at goal, but it does take a slight advantage away from a team that's leading at the time, realistically, where they can take the 2 reset from the other end of the field and work their way back down. So it will encourage a little bit more football to be played down, especially with the dropouts, more so than the short kickoffs at halfway, but I can't see it changing a great deal.
Kimmy on Facebook said that I don't agree with this at all. Teams are already risking it, going for a short kickoff and trying to get the ball back from the penalty. Now it's just another set. I don't see it giving enough advantage to the team that worked hard to get their opponents trapped in the end goal. When you add the 7 tackle set on top of that, there's not really a great ad for short kicking anymore, is there?
Definitely not.
It's always going to happen anyway when you've been put into that position if you're behind and you need the ball back in the last few minutes of a game, or you're getting close to half time and you're just going to have a crack at it anyway. But yeah, might encourage 1 or 2 more attempts at it, but I don't think it's going to change a great deal, as I mentioned.
I think from the kickoffs, it'll disadvantage the attempted receiving team, especially in the last few minutes of the game, being if they don't kick at 10, you go for a penalty, you kick it into touch, about 20 metres, 30 metres away from the goal line. Now you start a new set on the halfway line.
Yeah, well, you don't get that the penalty kick downfield. Yeah, I think it's from the 40, so they'll get the ball,
40.
Set it up in the 40. So yeah,
Is it if it goes out in the full as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a big
It's all
change.
inclusive.
So rather than having the penalty being able to kick it down to the 20, you could just start your set on the 40.
So just kick out in the full and
And have a set defensive
no
line.
risk. It starts for short kick, but the justification was it's to make it more unpredictable. I feel like it makes it more predictable because every team's going to set up for it over the course of the game now.
Teams don't mind defending on their line as well.
Yeah.
So...
That's right. Every team's happy to it's the same as a scrum penalty.
Yeah.
They'd much rather give up one and back their defensive line off a set play than not.
Yep.
Off kickoffs, it suddenly now feels too much like rugby for my liking, and anything that even starts making this game resemble rugby, where they almost never have the short kickoffs, doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
That being said, whatever happens in the first round, everyone else copies. So maybe everyone just kick off normally and it won't be a big deal. But I feel like there's going to be a lot more of it.
Even then in rugby, when there's a penalty blown, they can take a tap immediately as soon as the ref's pointed to a spot.
Yes.
There's no waiting.
Yeah. So Do I think it's the end of the world? No. Do I think it was necessary? No. And I just feel like sometimes they can't stay well enough alone with the game, especially when they've probably got the game to the point where it's as good as it's ever been, in my opinion.
And the attacking team has the opportunity to take a tap if they want anyway from 10 metres out. So
Yes.
it limits the options of the team that's been infringed against realistically.
Yeah.
I wonder if we see, obviously Tim Sheens has disappeared in the ether, but I wonder if any coaches try some real trick first play 10-metre set plays over the course of the year.
Might probably have to. You got to try and do something to disrupt that defence. As Danaan said, they don't mind 10 metres out being able to set up on their goal line.
So you're almost looking for a wraparound or something straight off the bat, really. Try and create it.
Crossovers, short kicks, or
Something out of the ordinary.
double cutout pass or something. Yeah.
But I don't, don't know. We'll see. We'll see how long it takes for all the coaches to whinge and it change back, or maybe it's a nothing happening thing. But anyway, any other news very quickly before we get into SuperCoach specific stuff? The NRL introduced a new code of conduct as well. Basically said, don't swear, be racist, use language, be violent, blah, 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 or they'll come down here, which
Take the
don't do that.
microphones off the fucking field. You won't hear it.
I think they're talking about spectators.
Spectators, yes, fair enough. Oh, yeah, it's always good to be respectful and not rude to people, but yeah, it's a funny world we live in.
What did Novak say the other day? They paid their ticket, they can say what they want, but if they want to get too personal, come say it to my face.
Yeah.
So, just let them go crazy.
Sure, plenty of people would do that for Novak.
Yeah.
But be nice to everyone. And also be nice on social media, everyone. You dickheads. Any other news or anything you wanted to talk about?
Apparently, Sean Johnson's in a moon boot and is going for
Yeah, I was gonna
scams
mention
that.
after a
Yeah.
training incident
Ankle,
today.
I believe.
Yeah, it could be obviously play out very big for the Warriors there, depending on what happens, what comes of the scans. Hopefully, he's not out for too long because that could have a massive impact on their season.
Oh, without a doubt. Suddenly, Harris DeVita might become more valuable than they realised.
That definitely does in SuperCoach if he comes straight into
Sure.
the starting side.
Q&A, just quickly. Just a bit of stuff off YouTube. Tavita wants, and he's been on for a while, wants timestamps. Yes, they're coming. I'll do some for this, but when we do our review shows, yes, I'll timestamp each match. So you can go look for the match you're on to. That's more for a YouTube thing. Just remember when I'm trying to get shows up, it's usually pretty much after 18 beers when I've just stumbled in from the pub at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I will do my best. I don't even want to bother for preview shows. They tend to go through pretty quick. So
Yeah.
I might
Definitely
stamp
help me
in,
record keeping.
Exactly. So I'll do that. I might throw in for a preview show. I'll just bookmark where whatever we do, disaster class and those sort of things might be. Brenton wants to hear our thoughts on the Knights and the Dolphins because we didn't really touch on them because there's not a lot to talk about in terms of news. But as we said, we'll save that for the 3rd of Feb where Barn, Ollie and myself will sit down and, well, last year went 5 hours, but this year do a comprehensive preview and how we think each team's going to go in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. That won't be timestamped because I'll break them up into individual teams on YouTube. So you
Matches,
can-
like you did last year.
yeah, so that's all right. And Dave Kay is a Panthers fan. He's convinced Luai has a good enough kicking game and will lead the Tigers to the 8 in 2025. So I hope so. Thoughts? You guys haven't, and obviously you would have heard the news we talked about from the last show. Thoughts on Luai? And in your case, Fanua Blake heading to Sharks. Excited about that one first of all, and then Luai's your thoughts on Luai?
Yeah, AFB going to the Sharks was great news. I had read the report but didn't see that it was 2025 and got a little bit ahead of myself.
Yes, yeah.
Almost every day throughout the season, Barney and I are always talking about how the Sharks are definitely in need of a couple of forwards. That would have been a godsend, but we'll get through to 2025 and he'll be a much welcome addition.
And Luai?
Is he a miracle man?
I don't think he has to be a miracle man. I was actually thinking about it because I was trying to think back to the games where he has effectively played 7. I remember there was one probably 2 years, was it either 2 years ago or 3 years ago where Cleary was out and he really beat up the Bulldogs at 7-1 game.
He
And
had
there's-
a good run there about 2 years ago, leading into the
when Cleary
finals when
they
Cleary was
rested
out for a
Cleary
bit,
and he was very good.
and he
so-
did take pretty well pretty good control of that team.
Does
He
help.
ran the
does help when
Samoan-
you're playing for the best side.
Yeah.
Of course.
Ran the Samoan side pretty well the year that they went deep into the international tournament that was on, and did play more of as a 7 than a 6. But yeah, week in week out, it's a whole different story. And it was obviously on the back of our discussion 2 weeks ago, and it's really the only question marks I do have. It's like because I find that it'll be pretty easy for him to straighten him up in attack, but the kicking game where how they get around the field, especially the long kicking game, is probably where my question marks lie with Luai.
He's definitely going to be an asset to them. He's not going to
Yeah,
hurt.
absolutely.
And the combination he's built over quite a few years with Happy, it's definitely going to help them. But
Yeah.
all small positive steps for the Tigers. We'll see how it actually eventuates.
Any news out of your side, Parramatta? They done anything you liked or anything you've been?
There's been radio
Ha-
silence
unhappy
from Parra,
about?
hasn't there? There's been nothing. Really.
Not a thing.
haven't
no
Arthur
new
been undrawn and quartered?
signings. Still got the same shit coach.
Hmm.
Yeah,
No, the mob's
So-
still arriving on his doorstep.
Apparently, we're looking fit and firing and
Yeah, usual shit.
Training
just
their house down.
training the house down. It's just can't wait.
They're an interesting team because they're probably the team the most. When I went and looked at the first 6 rounds in terms from a SuperCoach spectrum, they've got a fantastic first 6 rounds. They've Penrith, who they beat all the time anyway, and a bunch of dorks.
Yes,
So they've got.
compared to last year's start, it should be much better.
Yeah, well, this is where suddenly it's something I hadn't considered until I did some work for this show. But I think they're in the game in terms of some SuperCoach players, and even in terms of the season itself.
Well, if we're starting with hookers, one of my first picks will be an Eels player when it comes team list Tuesday if he's selected.
We'll save that for the positions, but I've got a feeling I might know who you're thinking. Any other news or any other questions for us? You two, particularly anything you want to ask us or anything else that's caught your eye over the last week or two?
No, you guys have covered everything off in your one the other day. It's been quiet.
Yeah, not a lot.
It's
Really.
I feel like it's been very quiet. News wise, like apart from Sean Johnson, I saw something about TPJ attended Broncos training.
Yes.
Oh,
From
and
the
there's
sidelines.
obviously the
And was there
the
something
other
about
big story
Sailor
was
not being
the
released?
Sailor got knocked back for a
Yeah,
release. He's going to UK.
But that's it. Like it's been a
and
very
Wolford got
quiet.
knocked back. So Dragons did try to get Wolford
Yeah.
from Canberra. They knocked that back.
Oh,
And obviously the Volkman thing's very.
yeah, that's the other one.
probably
The
a sad
Dragons. That's
situation where
pretty shitty
it
situation.
seems,
He can't have surgery for at least 6 months
Yeah,
before surgery, which will put him out for another 6 months.
and no one's
Shit,
really.
okay.
gonna
And the
foot
Warriors
the
are
ball.
like, it's not our problem anymore. And the Dragons are like, well, he actually hasn't signed. And so I feel sorry for him.
Yeah. Both parties sort of passing the buck. I believe, from what I've read, the Warriors owners indicated they'll try and look after him as well as they can. But
Yeah, I hadn't
It's
heard
not
that
there.
far into it. But surely there's an onus on the team that's signing a player. I know.
Well,
like,
so
he still
apparently he was
hasn't-
never signed because they had to do a medical still.
Mm.
So he was never official
so what happened was Warriors deregistered him,
before.
but Dragons still hadn't registered him
Yeah.
yet. What usually happens? The story is what usually happens is if there's a player switch, that'll happen in the space of 10 minutes.
Mhm.
One will ring and go, "Yep, he's off," and the next will go.
Deregistered, re-registered.
So what happened was
Yeah.
Warriors thought it was happening, deregistered him. He was never registered. Turned up at training, couldn't tackle. The physio looked at him, went up and said, like his shoulder's a bowl of jelly.
Yeah,
What's happening here? I think the screws have come out from his prior surgery. Poor
that's
bugger.
not fun.
And yeah,
Been
yeah,
there before.
Yeah. So it's a sad situation. I hope for his sake it gets sorted. And
Yeah,
for his
definitely.
mental health and everything else that he gets the support through this and can get back on his feet in 2025 at some point.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
So yeah, all very sad. Nothing much else.
No, it's been a really quiet off-season. Even from Mad Monday, there was virtually nothing.
It has. Not.
No. I think clubs are just smarter about it all.
It's been
Yeah.
boring.
It has been.
There are lots of crap about the Tigers and the Dragons, but what else?
But most of that comes
But-
from you anyway.
and news limited media.
But that was it. It's pretty much the Tigers board, and that's pretty much been the story of the off
Yeah,
season.
and a few signings for a few different clubs and nothing else.
Like apart from
No,
who was it, Hosking going straight
Yeah,
to the Raiders.
Hoskin's
No
going
one
to
else
Raiders.
is really moving immediately. Everything's for
the
25.
year after.
yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. It starts happening quickly. Trial games are in 2 weeks, so 3 weeks, I should say. But I'm sure the snowballs start rolling soon. we're just quickly, actually, completely off subject. We went and put a call out. If anyone can help me out, actually, put a call out to. I went and bought a pre-owned copy of Rugby League Live 4 for Elijah the other day, my young fella, who's 7. He loves footy. Didn't work, took it back, can't find it anywhere else. So if anyone's got a pre-loved copy or a copy they're not using, it's an 8-year-old game now, but he had his heart set on it. So if anyone can help me out, reach in.
They need to make another one. They're well overdue.
It's been 8 years, I think.
Yeah.
But if he had his heart set on playing it, he loves his footy and his cricket. But if anyone's got a copy and can help me out, reach out in the comments, or you can email sportsbeergarden@gmail.com is our new email. So you can contact us there, and anything else you want to get in touch with us about, hit us up there.
Good to see you're up to date.
That's the first I've heard about it. I've heard it was coming, but I didn't have an address.
Yeah, we've got a website coming, got a few irons in the fire, so looking forward to some changes coming soon with us and I guess the other show, the sister show. Show Us Your Tips. So if you like racing, there's a new YouTube channel, Show Us Your Tips, as we head into the Autumn Carnival. Beaver and I look at racing midweek and Saturdays every week, and throw out our tips. We've had a fair bit of success over the last 5 years, so check them out. I think
Strange that disc didn't work on your PlayStation. I've got a copy. I've played a couple of games of it and just put it back in the case, to be honest.
Yeah, if
it's
you've
the
got
same
it.
game that they've had for the last 8 years.
Well, if you're happy for me to borrow it, Barn, I'll pinch it
absolutely.
off you for a bit. You can keep
sure.
them amused.
We'll never be seen
That'd be
again.
great. That was easy. That's right. No, it won't be, but that's right. It'll make a young fella's day.
Not wrong.
Yeah, no, I tried it PS4, tried it on the PS5, tried it and flopped. Yeah, disc was fucked.
Yeah, right.
EB gave me money back. They didn't. There's no dramas. But
Well, that's good.
Cool.
I couldn't give a shit. But the young fella was looking forward to it. He's been playing cricket 24 over Christmas, so looking for something new. Let's get into SuperCoach. But in addition to SuperCoach, and we will have our SuperCoach League, but obviously being 20 spots, it goes very, very quickly. So I don't know how much value we get out of actually pushing the SuperCoach League, really. But we'll have a group going. But we'll have our tipping comp, as usual, our tipping partners, which you are all part of now, PCTC. Gaz does a fantastic. Happy 50th to Gaz yesterday, actually. He'll be listening.
Correct.
And/or watching. So happy birthday, champion. Been a pleasure doing business and having a laugh with you over the last decade or so. So happy birthday. Very well done on raising the bat from all of us here. And here's to another 50, eh? But anyway, yeah, what is the comp? I should plug that. That's really sweet. But go to PCTC
Sports Tipping.
in front of Facebook. I'll put a link in the comments below. He will open that. I assume probably open as soon as he hears this show. He'll open it
Next
but
week or
Yeah,
two.
he'll have it
in
started.
the next month. It'll be up. Free and $50 comps. You can play for free and take us on, or you can pay $50. I think the prize pool last year was close to
Two and a half.
$2.5
Yeah, it
So
was pretty good.
all
Not
above
that I got
board.
close.
It's all run through ESPN Footy Tipping as
Yeah.
well. So it's obviously it's a third party site that can't really be, you can't muck around with it. So it's the records are being kept in 2 different positions as well. So yeah, brilliant comps. We've been involved with him for over a decade now, I believe, with the racing and
Coming
the
up a decade.
the footy, and he does his cricket and hockey and basketball and anything you can
NFL,
think
Premier
of.
League,
So-
so
I was
go
going to
and
say I'm
check
in the
that
Premier
out.
League one as well.
Well, while we're talking racing, the Autumn Carnival will kick off in 2 weeks. There's a barrier trial, probably by the time you see this show this afternoon. But I believe the first week of February will be the first week of Autumn. That'll run all the way through to after the championships in April, end of April. So always a lot of fun. You tip in Melbourne, Sydney, each and every race, $1 each way on every runner, or every race, and the most points wins, essentially. Right, that's all out of the way. Anything else?
No,
Rugby league merch, buy some gear. I need to actually speak to Scotty about what's going on with the hats and stuff too.
yeah, absolutely.
Scotty, what's going on with the hats, mate?
Some hats that were in the mail for 6 months.
If you can let us know, that'd be great. All right, SuperCoach. So as we said, this is all based off the Team Picker, which is now live for gold members on the SuperCoach app. The prices are up. You can go play around with your teams. This year, the interesting year, because this year the cap's gone up to 11.9 mil or 11.8, somewhere around there.
11.65.
11.65, but it doesn't feel like a lot of players have necessarily gone up by the same percentage. And for me, at least, it feels quite easy to crowbar 6 or 7 stars in without any sweat, if that's the way you want to play it.
You will
have
end
you
up
found the
getting-
same?
You'll end up getting skinny towards, obviously, with your reserve bench. But
Absolutely.
that's generally where you are trying to pick some lower players to get into your team. We normally do a little spiel about the whole organisation and how it works.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
but-
I will just quickly. You can run with it, Barn. But if you listen to this, I'm sure you know how SuperCoach works by now. But in terms of your general, how you approach the game each year, any brief thoughts on what you suggest?
I generally, the positions with higher amounts of players obviously is where you're going to be looking at trying to fit a couple of your stars into, and that's your second row and your centre wing position. A lot of people that play the game generally try to get three or four cheaper options in that centre wing position because you do have 7 positions to fill. And that's generally if you get someone who scores a few tries early in the comp,
Yeah, if you can
you
get a
can make
cheap
some big
person.
money there at the start of the season. As you said, 11.65 mil is the salary cap this year, so you've got to find 25 players to fill that out, and that averages out to 466. If anyone's actually interested in what the average player, if you filled up a team with 450 odd K for every position in your team, you probably had a pretty solid team, but you're not going to have any superstars. You're not going to get many superstars into a squad like that. 46 trades for the year. This was a big one for you, Adrian. So that averages out to 1.7 trades a week.
Now I
not
read an interview.
fucking 4. Okay?
Now I read an interview with the winner of last year's comp, the overall winner. And you know what he did? He burned all his trades in about round 20. He said he just traded, but he still won. So what the fuck would you know, Dave?
Yeah, well, you want
How
to
did
be
it work for you?
Not very well.
you
but
want
that's
to be a
not the
long
point.
way in front if you've still got 7 rounds to
yeah.
go.
No,
with
he
no
was,
trades.
he was puckering
He
up.
would have been hanging on for dear life in
Yeah.
the last couple of rounds.
Absolutely.
Spluttering home. It's obviously injuries and suspensions are really cruel things sometimes in SuperCoach. You can have a run where you lose 4 or 5 players, and then you got to the rep rounds to sort of dodge your way in and out of as well, which can get tricky at times. So
And resting of late.
yes,
We get to round
especially towards
26
the
and
last
everyone
two
sits
rounds
out.
of the year. I'd try to sort of break it down in either 4 or 6 week blocks throughout the season and have a look forward for the draw. If there's anyone that may have a run of 3 or 4 teams that aren't going so well at any time during the year, and you might want to buy an extra player or 2 out of that sort of squad. Someone that's caught fire, obviously you want to grab them and get them into your team.
That's
as
it.
as
Those
soon as
first 2
possible.
rounds, I tend to burn a lot, and you get those people that are are going to be making you money early, and you get rid of those people that you've bought that have backfired.
Yeah, because obviously the prices don't change for 3 weeks, so you do get that first 2 weeks of a bit of leeway where you can play around with a few guys before they start costing you money.
Those HIAs, a player HIA round 1 or round 2.
HIAs.
Yeah. Next thing you know, they're playing
Third
with
minute and they've
yeah,
scored 1 point,
Yeah,
and that's all they're
they've got a
getting for the entire game.
break even of 190, and they're only a 60 average player or something, So it comes down to individual players, obviously. But, burning him early is all right, but you just got to have a plan later on.
We're heading later.
And yeah, really have a look in that 4 and 6 week blocks. Who's got buys? You will find during the season some teams will have a buy pretty close to a second buy, and that can really dissuade you from picking someone out of that squad as well. So,
Definitely.
That 8-week block in the centre around Origin is an absolute nightmare for a lot of people too.
I'll get your mic up a bit too, Greg.
that's
Sound like
why
you're next door.
it always pays to be looking 4 weeks ahead of where you are, and then especially for that Origin, I try to start planning for Origin probably 8 weeks out realistically. Start moving a few pieces around. Guys I know aren't going to be there, and I might be able to pick up 2 players, drop a bit of cash and maybe a few points the weeks leading in, but then you get it back come Origin time.
The big one will be, is the head-to-heads going ahead on Origin this year? Because they didn't last year.
Yeah, they didn't
No,
last
they
year, and
didn't.
I suspect they've really
Because that, if obviously if you're
in
if
a
you're a
lot of ways
head-to-head
they've
player,
turned SuperCoach into easy mode sometimes.
Yeah,
Because the
so-
last 3 years they've turned back a lot of the tricks.
yes,
Like Origin head-to-heads going.
extra trades
extra
and everything.
trades. I know
Yeah.
COVID was a catalyst, fair
Yeah.
enough. They never took them away though.
No.
What's the other one? The power or the
You get that extra
ability
boost.
to trade
Yeah.
through the 2
The boost trades, yeah, and the fact that there's only realistically one massive buy round now, where it used
Yeah.
to be every 3
all
weeks of
Origins,
Origin,
yeah.
you would have 6 teams not playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they've sort of had a workaround where 2 of the weeks you've only got maybe 4 teams not playing, and then you've got the 8 and 10 not playing. In
So that's a big one.
that one week.
If you're a head-to-head player only, those
Origin doesn't matter.
Origin
anywhere
doesn't
near
matter
as much.
Yeah, so you can really structure your side differently.
Yeah, because it's changed a little bit now. A lot of people do have some massive cash comps going, and they just play strictly head to head.
Yeah.
Which obviously, if that's the way you're going, rather than trying to win the whole thing, you can hold on to those
100%.
Those Origin players during that period.
100%.
Greg, any thoughts on top of that? You were top 1,500 overall. Your missus was, what, top 10 or something? So,
Yeah, she was 35 4 weeks in.
yeah.
And then that kind of went downhill pretty quickly. But she started the first 3 rounds with Hopgood as captain, and she just fluked into that, and that turned out pretty well for her. I pretty well fluked most of the year. I did not look ahead to the buys. I did not look ahead to Origin, and it just so happened that the players that I had in the squad just worked fairly well for most of the year.
Glad I got you in today. Yeah, not much more to add. If it sounds like a complete waste of time and stress, it absolutely is, but we do it each and every year anyway. And they've been good enough to put the prizes up last few years early, so we get to do this show. General thoughts, anything outside of what we discussed in terms of how you think looking at prices now, anything stood out? Like I said, it feels easier to grow past some stars in it. It feels some positions are very thin. 5'8",
It's
almost like you just got to dive in and say, well, I'm going to take him.
The way I set my
get the
teams
best out
up,
of him.
it's just going to depend on the cheapies when it comes Team List Tuesday. It just depending on how many of them I can fit in. I'm more than happy to be one of those people that have 5 superstars and 20 cheapies.
Yeah.
And make money early. But it just depends on how you're going to set your team up. So last year, early on this time, there was talk that there'd be about 20. And then by the time round 1 came, it felt like there was only 6. And then it was
And
all
everyone
right.
had him.
And everyone had them.
Yeah.
And then it was all right.
But then the same token, you know, Dream Baller appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah.
There's blokes, a few of those wingers appeared out of nowhere. But yeah, everyone had Hopgood on their radar.
And that's what I mean.
Everyone had, it took him a long time to get going, but Khan Pereira.
Yeah. Sonny Luke. Everyone had Sonny Luke.
Well,
Everyone had, almost everyone had the cheese as well.
Yeah,
and just.
So there doesn't seem, there's not a boom must buy to my eyes yet, unless you're, and all the ones that I thought would be are just a bit too, they're not quite in that bracket.
That's it.
All the ones you go, I'm sure lots of people can talk about Luke Brooks this year, but he's 580. You know what?
Yeah, there's no one that's changed sides that's looking at.
There's a couple of change sides that interest me, but not so much as a must-have. It's like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
There's a few guys coming back off injuries and stuff that are probably priced
Absolutely.
a bit below
That's
where
it.
they should be.
someone like Hosking to the Raiders could be interesting because
Absolutely. We'll save them for positions in terms of specifics.
but
More just a general overview. Do you have any brief thoughts? Or
Yeah, I've got a couple that I've been looking at that have spent most of last year injured, and they're priced considerably under what I think they're valued at.
And Barnett, just last overview comment. Nothing else.
I just obviously again first few rounds you'll be looking at sort of buy schedules and any teams that have got a bit of a tougher run than most. Obviously, the teams that were down the bottom last year, you can't really consider them having any easy matches. It doesn't matter who they play. So you're probably going to maybe steer away from a few of them unless you've got out-and-out stars in different positions. Someone like Newcastle seemed to have an okay start to the season without... but they do... Have they got a bye? No. They don't have the bye in that first 6 weeks, but... someone like David Fafita, you probably wouldn't pick up for the first month. He has a bye, followed by a pretty tough match in that position. So he's someone you could probably leave to round 4 and have a look, and you can reassess whether he's going to be dropping money or whether he is going to make money before you actually have to go in and get him.
That said, given his price, it's a hard leap to make sometimes.
Yeah.
If he does make money, all of a sudden you're looking for $950. And that's hard to find in round 4.
The problem is at the start of the year, you're probably going to have a few blokes on your bench that aren't going to be averaging the likes of 60 or, and if you do go with someone, say $100,000 cheaper, who's averaging roughly the same as what Fafita is, then you've only got to find that $100K. You know what I mean? Then you can upgrade from there. But there's just keep an eye on the buys, but they're not as critical to SuperCoach as they are in the actual draw and the cut and thrust of the competition. Then It's early doors. There's probably a few that I've maybe shied away from just because there's a bias chucked in there at the start of the season. So
Players from these teams, just picked out, just completely random. You can work out, why I might have picked these teams.
right, here we go.
Titans, Dolphins, Cowboys, Seagulls, Knights, and Tigers play the Dragons in the first 6 weeks.
Okay.
Raiders, the West Tigers' first 6 weeks is Raiders, Sharks, Eels, Dolphins, Dragons, Panthers, and the Dogs' first 6 weeks, Eels, Sharks, Bulldogs, Rabbitohs, Roosters, Storm. Yeah, just pick those 3 teams at random, but, teams, anyone from those sort of clubs might be interesting buying. Poor old Bulldogs, geez, they got a rough start, actually. Anyway,
Panthers
we're going to
have got a decent start. They've only really got the one tough game against the Broncos, which even in tough games, most of their players still go pretty well in SuperCoach anyway. So, Panthers would be someone that if you can get someone that's not too expensive, it might be worth taking a punt on the Panther early.
Yeah, and like I said, Parramatta really caught my interest when we get through them.
Yep.
The rest you can take or leave. As I said, we're going to go front to back, front to back, back to front. Is there a position anyone started? We just started.
I started from the left and worked to the right on the team picker there, which was hooker, front row, second row.
yeah,
but
that's
we
the list
can
I've
work
done.
backwards.
No,
Doesn't bother me.
that's the way I've done. They left to right, isn't it? Up and down.
Yes.
Anyway, hookers, interesting because it's either one of the top 3 or it's not, to my eyes, to start it.
So top 3, you got Grant, 750k, average of 73.5, played 22 games last year. Cook, 663, average of 65, played 23 games last year. And then you get down to Jeremy Marshall-King, who actually only played 15 games last year. So there's a possibility that you get a few more points out of him this year if they can keep him on the field. But still priced pretty high at 640k with an average of 62.
Yeah, my initial thoughts, as I said, you're either looking at one of those 3 or you're not, or it sounds pretty dumb when you say it out loud, but you've almost got to buy.
twice.
Starting position, you probably have to have
Just
one of
go
those
and find
3.
one. 50% of the comp ended up with Harry by the end of last year. I know they all started that way. I think 90% was started with Cheese, but given he's 750, is it just a stick and select for you, Barn, or is it going somewhere else?
I'm probably going to start with Jeremy Marshall-King. I think the Dolphins have a bit of upside. They've got a little bit more role with the forward pack with the likes of Flegler going in there, and that may just open up a few opportunities for him. That's you're saving 110k, an average. I can't see Grant averaging more than probably 8 points more than Jeremy Marshall-King at the start of the year, and Melbourne aren't known to come out flying out of the blocks.
No, they are not.
So, for mine, I think that may be the way to go, and then I'll be looking at one of the other options as your backup. But as my starter,
just on Melbourne, this is the first year they're not coming off a World Cup or a
true
shitty pre-season. They're probably going to have the best start.
They might have a
they
better
the best
start this year. Yeah.
That said, has anyone caught your eye, Greg?
Yeah, one of the ones that I was referring to earlier was where are we at? Jaden Brayley. He's only at
I was waiting for
330.
There's always the usual spruik about Jaden.
I've done it
Bailey.
the last 2 years.
Yeah. Tell us, won't you?
Yeah, it's just sort of looking at him. He has the talent, and he's quite SuperCoach friendly when he can stay on the park.
Especially the amount of defence he gets through.
He has massive base stats because he got 55 tackles. Yeah.
So that's. I haven't quite landed
I
on.
can see him being one that everyone's going to try and crowbar in.
Yeah.
And 60% of the comp are in round 1. Not a knock.
Yeah.
They're probably right. But yeah.
Yeah, I haven't quite settled on who's going to be the number 1 at this stage. I'm probably leaning JMK, but I'm far from settled on that.
And is yours going to rhyme with
Pans.
wet sands?
Yes, yes, it is. So I'm not looking at Grant or Cook to start the season. I think Melbourne's run is too hard. Plus, they've got to buy early, and I don't think Souths have an easy draw either. So I've got a feeling both of them will lose money at the start. So I'm looking to make money. Brayley just has to play 5 games and he's going to make 100k. He just on defence alone, if he gets a try assist or 2, he's going to make more. And yeah, my other one is Brendan Hands. If he gets the starting 9 position, I'm sure he'll be in 40% of teams.
How confident are you? What's your feel given, like, when Lussick came back, it seemed...
Felt like
know.
they were off him to
BA
me.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm worried
BA
about.
is just, like, he loves his old... He's almost like... who's the other guy that loves his old guy?
In saying that, Lussick's also around that same price. Average.
Yeah, exactly.
So it could be... It wouldn't surprise me if I have one or the other.
Yeah.
They're both averaging around the 30, so make 40-plus tackles a game and try and get a try assist or two, and it's easy money to go up to, hopefully, ideally you get Grant and Cook. So if they can both be making money, but if it works out well, you sell a cheapie centre at the same time or something, and that I think getting to the top 2 hookers this year can be quite simple. With there's a fair few mid-rangers that are just, they seem to be at good value. They're all averaging around that 30, 40 points, and hookers just make that many tackles in today's game that they're all there to make some money.
Mm-hmm.
Any other names caught your eye, Barn?
Yeah, well, I went out and picked a few sort of mid-range guys that are in and around this pack that I'm sure these are the ones probably Danaan's referring to. 19 games for Brandon Smith last year, 46 average at 471k. The way he picked up towards the back end of the last year, there's signs there that he hopefully will improve starting this season. I would expect the Roosters, again, another team that doesn't start generally that hot, but I would expect them to be better than they were at the start of the season last year.
They've got a tough start, though.
A tough start.
Broncos, Rabbits, and Panthers all within the first 4 weeks.
But again, if you think of what their whole team was at the World Cup last year,
yes,
they had poor old Guzzi Crichton in hospital. It's going to say something much more derogatory, but I love it.
Probably don't do that.
Saved myself.
No, not at him. Not at all at him, actually, because he's an interesting one later. But he did not have a great off season. You had Suwali, all the bullshit around him. You had Manu, Niggles, etc., etc. Teddy, never fit. So they're an interesting team in general this year. But I think by the back end of the year, they worked out that they can't change cheese. Remember when he turned up and Robbo was going to turn him into this 80-minute hooker and he's going to be this, that, and I think they just realised that he's got to be who he is. And I think that's an upside for him.
Another one, Crossland, improved out of sight last year on previous seasons.
Where's he play, though?
I think Brayley comes back in, that is a question mark. He's probably priced correctly there. Then if he's... Because
he's 14
he's
at
probably
best,
not going to average 46
and
if
then
he's
up
not playing
against
hooker.
Cogger. I know he was great, but he's up against Cogger at 14.
And that limits his time as well. So that's actually a good point. I didn't actually really think of Brayley too much about what would happen there. Verrills at 463k, average of 45. Only played the 11 games. Was good when he was on the field. If they can get him on the field consistently, which has been his biggest issue in the last couple of years, then someone who should probably make 100k over the space. Probably a bit of a slow burn, but come Origin time, someone that I would expect to be around 550. Sevilla Havili, I don't know. I think he has to play more minutes than he did last year.
Well, it's an interesting thing there because they've just re-signed Mamazelos.
Mm-hmm.
Do they try and use Havili more as a back row?
As a back row. And if they do, average of 36 last year, 8 games, 372, there's money to be made.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of guys, you mentioned Brayley already, but Watson didn't play a game last year, averaged at 374.
Is he fit?
Yes, he should be back to start the season. And he's been priced at an average of probably around 35. I'd expect him to hit that and go past it most weeks when he would play. And a couple of your 2 bottom dollar blokes that you're looking at, Gordon Chan Kong Tung, 2 games last year, 37 average, pretty close to bottom dollar at 239k. If he's anywhere near that starting side, or even the 17, he's someone that you probably need in your squad. And Luke Summerton.
Yeah, I think he jumps Sonny Luke.
You think so? If he's there, again, another one, 239k.
Probably not immediately. I reckon.
I'd be
after
what happened last year at the Panthers, I'd be staying off a second hooker.
Or Laurie or someone.
Because Mitch Kenny's going to get the starting spot.
Played 2 games. The 2 games he did play, he averaged 47. So if you do see him in and around that 17, it's someone that you want to be looking at. But
just quickly, Ray Phoenix also Ray Phoenix. Phoenix Crossland, also a 5'8", Ray Stone,
Yes.
2RF hooker, Connor Watson, 2RF hooker, the Villy Jewel, Granville Jewel, Garlic Jewel, Lawton Jewel are the jewels. I was going to make a case for Appy. No preseason last year, played a lot of games off the bench and through injury. Still averaged 56. Year before averaged 66, year before averaged 63, admittedly with Penrith, but I think they're going to be I think he's going to have a better year this year.
Increases, but does it increase enough to get to somebody better?
Realising they've got the round one bye, the other thought is he's almost a wait and see.
But if he increases to 65, he's now the second best hooker in the comp.
Yeah,
So
that's what I mean.
And I think he's the best hooker in the comp. He's just in the worst team in the comp. But that said, you can look at...
SuperCoach way.
Yeah, but he's still a top 5 hooker. You can almost pick one of these cheapies with the view that you've got Appy up your sleeve who's a week behind, that you can nab at that 500 price if the Tigers come out in the games.
Yeah.
He's going to make you some money.
Yeah, that was just a thought there. We mentioned Cheese. You mentioned the usual spruik. Danny Levi, interesting to see he gets that Canberra spot. He's come back. I think he's almost favourite now to start there.
I don't touch Ricky
No.
Stewart's hookers.
Well,
I think he's in love with Wolford, though, isn't he?
Well, Wolford's trying to get out of there. Just asked to leave.
That's yeah.
The other one that's looming and has been for a year, and apparently the debate's on as mosquitoes destroy my calves. Blake Mozart is base price. If he's in and around that Broncos team, he'll make money in
You
the
reckon
first
he's
month.
going to displace the coach's son?
Yeah.
That's a conversation. Who knows? That's an obvious trial watch and team list Tuesday watch. Any final word on hookers?
I think
Start
you
low
probably,
and aim high.
I mean, end of the day, we're probably going to want to end up with Harry by the time Melbourne finish third. And
I think
he's
you
winning games, but
you
it's-
probably need to start with someone in the
No
top
one
5
even-
or 6 hookers realistically and just try and ride it out for the season, to be honest.
None of
Because
us
there's
even-
not, I can't see anyone making massive amounts of money.
I
at
feel
hooker.
like this is that 1 year you can risk at least one spot, and just because of the start they both are going to have, I think they're both going to drop cash.
Yeah.
But come round 6, you're going to want.
Well,
one
none
of
of us
them.
even mentioned Cook here. Is that just because, like, last year was his best year in a couple of years, but he's now 30.
Ideally,
34.
you want Grant
Yeah.
because he's just going to get more points.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. And then it comes down to when you're setting up your best 17, is Cook's average going to be better than who are you putting out of the side later on? And that's what it comes down to.
Or is there someone else that can average within 10
You know,
points
if
of Cook?
South could be coming first by round 15, and you're like, holy shit, I need Cook the second Origins over because he's, averaging 70 a game and just feeding Latrell balls and Latrell scoring for fun. And then you're like, how do I get the rest of them in? So it will depend. I got a feeling Cook will depend a lot on how Latrell goes throughout the year and how Cody Walker goes. If those two get firing, Cook could be in for a great ride. He also goes off the very running type player, so he needs his forwards going forward. And if that's happening, that's when he's making his breaks up the middle.
Any final word thoughts on Cookie? No. All right. Front row forward. You made the case last year, Danaan, that at the end of the day they're all the same and you can find a couple for 500. They're all going to do the same job. Who cares? Within 5 points of each other. Still have the same opinion?
Yep.
Ah.
So I'll still be, I'll probably start with probably Payne Haas.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I'll look to make money there with just... and most of the time where you make money, it'll be those guys that have just moved clubs, where they've gone... Spencer Lenu, for example, if he starts, he's going to increase his average by 20. Just little ones like that. They're not like the CT dubs that Barney discussed earlier, where they're going to make 150K in 3 weeks. They're going to be that slower burn. But the prime forwards, like a Tapine, doesn't start great. He builds into the season. Most of the props build into the season.
And they always seem to have... You almost seem to get that month and you go, oh, fuck, why'd I buy him?
Yep.
And then the minute you sell him, he'll come out and get 70.
And then you'll start averaging 70 from there.
Yeah.
But they all seem to start slow. Their minutes are a bit lower than normal. And that's when you want to be jumping on and just hope you get it right when their minutes just start to increase.
Same opinion, GT, or you got a different way of looking at front rows?
Yeah, there's probably a couple of traps in there that are overpriced based on try scoring last year. Adam Fanua-Blake's probably a big one that I want to stay away from. I was very quick to jump on him last year. But again, he was scoring tries for fun, and that was greatly inflating. I'm probably going to look much like Danaan, a little bit lower, try and find somebody that's going to do the job, slowly burn, and then I'll probably again start with Haas, but then I'll look to work my way towards some of the more power forwards a little bit later on throughout the year.
And Barn.
Yeah, I probably top-ended my front row a little bit too much last year, and I probably might be dropping one of those bigger names that I started with last year. It's the good part is there's a few of these guys that are duals, so you can sort of load them in between second row and front row.
So just quickly,
Yeah,
just
Tino, I could be the one over Haas this year because he's got that duel.
Tino's in my team for that reason.
Yeah.
But even if you stuck him in at second row and kept Haas at, in your front row, that's probably good building block for both of those positions.
Yeah.
Just quickly, Tino, I'm just going to... Obviously, there's lots of duels between here and TLF, so I won't repeat it. But Tino, Mitch Barnett, DeBellin, Jake Travojevic, Cotter, Nelson, Asafa Solomona, Twile, Bromwich, Jai Arrow, Tomalolo, who's down to 439k, Bullymore number 11, Hess 12, Fanua Pole 420 and 13 are your 13 big crossovers, I guess.
Yep.
Just for the sake of putting that out there.
We finished last year, Tino averaged 77. He's priced at 791 to start the year. Haas 750, average of 73. And Fanua Blake 740, average of 72.
Given
Fanua Blake drops.
I would think
and
so.
a
Yeah.
lot.
Given what you said...
Especially if Johnson's out. at the start of
So
the year.
you are we all sort of have a consensus? You sort of pick if you're not Tino or Haas, it doesn't really matter. Just go and find someone. To do a
Pretty
job or-
much. You want one of those two, and then your other three, two are mids, and then one's a bottom.
And you're probably looking at one of the fittest, just in that first couple of weeks, the bloke who's the fittest front rower running around playing the most minutes
Pretty much.
is probably the guy you want to try and...
And that's
Get
why
into the-
and
get into your
that's
side.
another reason why I like the players that have just moved. They've got the point to prove. They've gone from starting on the bench at one team to the starting spot at another side. So they're the ones busting their backsides the most in those first 5 rounds.
Yep.
Like as I said, Spencer Leniu I think will probably end up being 50% of sides.
Just on the back of that, Flegler's a big one for mine.
Yeah.
Point to prove. Now, basically, a leader in that pack that he's going to should get the starting role, I would imagine. And he's priced at 475 with an average of 46. I can see that average pushing up near the 60s.
Easy.
And then you're looking
He
at
could turn into a
600K,
keeper.
So
He could easily turn into a keeper.
Who was he, sorry?
Flegler.
Yes.
I'm having a look at Piakura as well, with the Broncos losing a couple of the big guns.
Yep.
Yeah, well, you imagine
Get
probably
that
Wilson,
starting role.
Jensen,
Yeah, but he's
Piakura.
in the second row, isn't he? Piakura,
Yeah.
I think.
I think tomorrow.
Yeah, Piakura's in the second
I
row.
don't think they're going to move Carrigan, but there's lots of spec about Carrigan potentially either moving to the middle or
Or the
back row
edge.
to let Willison play back lock or other way around to let Piakura come in.
Tom Hazelton at the Sharks. We said it last year, he should be playing more time. If he does get that extra 10 or 15 minutes a week, that average should go from 35 up to 45, thereabouts.
45, 50.
Yeah, he's now average. He's only going to cost you 359. If the average pushes mid 50s, he's then a 550k player. So, 500k player, definitely one. You mentioned Leniu, averaged 32 last year. Again, another one we should expect to probably have 10 or 15 more minutes than what he was playing at Penrith. The
On
average
that
should
though,
go up 10 or
I
15.
know that's what everyone thinks, and it's a sprue. And Cal, friend of the show, Cal,
And,
now batting like Bradman these days. Cal
Priced
Keane,
at 333.
is keen on Spencer as well. It was mentioned today, but realistically, isn't he just going to be what he was at Penrith?
Yeah, but I think they will try
I
to
think he'll get
that-
more minutes.
I think
though.
they'll try to get another 10 minutes out of him. Penrith, he was realistically playing 25 minutes, man, and you can't tell me you can't get half a game of footy out of him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he doesn't want to, but and he will in a year's time. Because still got Jared there.
Yeah,
You've still got-
Jared was playing less minutes last year than he ever has in his
You've
career.
got Terrell May there. Got
Yes.
Lindsay Collins there.
He's at
Yes.
he's at a price though you can risk
Sia
it.
Wong.
Fair. I'm just being a
so-
devil's advocate because
But as
he's going to
straight
be.
out-
He will be the most bought player this year. I
But
reckon.
as straight out
Well, that's
front,
what I was saying. I
But
reckon he's
you-
in 50% of
but-
teams.
like
He's
your
gonna-
Mays and your
doesn't he
Wongs.
start off the bench?
Your Mays and your
Well,
Wongs.
Unless
yeah,
Jared
I think
becomes
so.
a complete bench player, and,
Oh,
and
I'm
Trent
pick-
goes,
I'm only-
last year,
so-
Jared, I needed 20 minutes of nutbagness from you.
I'm only
And Spencer, they swap. Maybe that's
I'm
what
only
happens,
picking
but
him if he starts
Well, Spencer Leniu should be going into that squad
to start.
to start.
basically saying by halfway through this season, I want your jersey, Jared. And
100%.
you're
I
going back to
agree,
the
I
bench.
agree.
If that is his attitude, and it does happen, but yeah, start of the year probably maybe not grab him straight away. Someone you could probably sit on for a month or 6 weeks and
Once
really
you
see
know.
how he's going.
But more from reviews, I can see everyone under the sun.
having him,
Who
to
wants
start
one of
the
these
year.
while I've got the fridge open?
Yeah, grab
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Double it up.
Couple of blokes a little bit lower down on the poll there. You mentioned Tyrell May, 42.5 was his average, and Totola again, 42. They're both mid 400,000. They've probably got 100K in them, but it's going to take probably 8 to 10 weeks to realise that, depending on what time they get it.
But
on the field.
that's the thing with the forwards. You've got to let it. You don't pick a player to think I'm going to get 100K in 2 weeks.
These are two guys that could possibly realise something like that.
Yeah.
Is Dan Saluka Fafita.
Yes, he's one of them.
Never
that's on
plays as
mine.
many minutes as he
Yeah.
should.
Who's he play for?
He's at the Roosters, isn't he?
Yeah, they're going to have 8 players playing
Yeah,
80
I
minutes
know.
every
No,
week.
but
and a
they're playing,
fullback.
most of those blokes are going to be playing second row in the second row rotation. Not
The Butchers
so,
aren't
so
coming
much
off.
as the front. One of them's gone.
Yeah.
Egan's gone.
What happened to Crichton this year?
And Tupanua as well.
Exactly.
They're big on those two. If those two
I'm
play,
being a dick,
if
but
those two,
you got a crowbar.
if those two put out the same
Only
form,
one of them I think should get a spot.
well, halfway through the year last
I
year,
could
we were
yeah.
both saying that neither of them should be in the team. Like, because he wasn't, but when he came back, he was pretty rubbish.
He wasn't with
let's
us,
be
not
honest.
terrible.
And Tupanua didn't play most of the year.
No,
They
with
didn't want
ACL.
him. So
Yeah.
even when he wasn't injured, he wasn't playing. But
they've just re-signed him, so I can see him being a project.
yeah, Saluk Fafita, 290K, average of 28. If he's playing properly the minutes he should be averaging 40. So that's something that he could jump up massively. And Xavier Willison, you mentioned earlier, he's again right down near the bottom dollar, 265K, average of 28.9. If he gets the minutes as a rotational second rower in that side, he averages 45. You would think minimum.
Yeah.
So that's massive money, and that could be realised pretty quickly, depending
Yeah.
on whether
Yeah,
he gets in and around that 17. to
The
start season.
trap's going to be if someone gets injured in the trials and one of these cheapies gets named round 1, and then the starting players all
Back
of a
2 weeks
back
later.
back round 2 or round 3, then you.
Yep.
And there's almost one every year that it happens to. Yeah, the initial report is they're out for 6 weeks, and you think, great, I've got someone here, and then miraculous recovery, and they're named round 2 to start. You're
But
stuck
the
with
raps on
someone-
Willison are massive.
Yeah.
It's been around for over 12 months now, the talk of him being someone that will be a first grader for most of his career. So I think if he even gets a sniff at that spot, he probably ends up taking it. So
It's you got to think.
No.
that one.
This is like
We
his,
already did it.
this is like his team
already
selection
had my
last
say.
year. It's like that one there. That'll do.
Hey, it worked.
It's almost front row's almost. I'm nearly tempted to set and forget from the start because I could put this. While
I tried that last
Like I could go.
At
I
halfway.
can go get Fisher Harris, Nelson Asafa Solomona, and Mo Fodawaker, and not even think about it the rest of the year, and I'll be fine. That'll be fine.
Yeah,
Come round
absolutely.
18, you'll be like, fuck, I want Payne and Tino.
Of course I will. But by then I'll have.
And you'll have no trades left.
But by then I'll have banked. but well, just in terms of pods and in front row, the other thing is when you look at the 10 there, I'll go and look at the one that's got 4% ownership and go.
This
well,
is
I'll
the best
take
part
this
about
one.
the front rows. You
Yeah.
can go.
You can pod
and,
out
and
and
the pod, and it's not going to backfire you on as bad.
point of difference for those that are wondering.
So
So
yeah,
what were the three names you mentioned? Fisher Harris probably priced pretty squarely.
5-1-5, but I don't think he's going to change. But now Spencer's gone. I can
Mo
see.
might make you a little
Remember,
bit of
he's another one
money.
that had niggles. Came off a World Cup. I
Yeah.
think he has a better year this year.
the golden boot's going to have him primed and ready
And
to
they're
go.
going to
Nelson's-
average mid-50s, you would imagine.
Nelson's
Who is
interesting
the-
because he came from the World Cup, was injured all year until that last 8
Who's the big
rounds.
fella from Melbourne?
Kamika.
The one they just put the photo up online.
Yeah,
Kamika.
Kamika.
If he starts, he's a human wrecking ball. That like
We've been saying that
Jesus.
for 3 years,
Yeah.
but he does look
But
fitter than he
had
ever
some, he, had
has.
some
in his
personal,
life.
he had some personal issues last year. Was good, slow going. Was good.
What's he priced at?
I'll tell you now.
He might be somebody worth a risk. If depending on how Bellamy's going to play.
4-4-4, so it's
Mid
not
400.
far. Everyone's just
Dual?
there, like they're all no.
No, it's
That's where
straight out
Nelson at
front row.
5. I think, but again, he might be someone you leave alone early, just to see how he warms into the year. But as a dual, I think around $500,000,
Yeah.
that's fine. I will then look at probably the Clemmer because no one will pick him. and he churns out 55, doesn't miss a tackle, will get through his work.
See, the problem with
Or-
all these players,
or
they're not going
Mo,
to make you
who
money.
is no, but they're just going to be there. That's right.
They're
So you've
just
got
gonna,
to.
yeah.
The difference between these guys and the top guys is you're going to see maybe 180 or 90 out of the
Yeah,
guys
they're
that you've
pretty high.
mentioned, whereas the likes of your Tinos and Fanua Blakes and that could possibly punch out 300 or 400s for you during the year.
That's right.
So.
But that's where Nelson, and that's why I'm going to pick Tino in the back row. I can flick one of them and just push Tino forward and start again with
Yeah.
someone else a bit down. There's just something else I was thinking of. That I could just go 3 baselines and go, right, don't have to think too much.
It is the good
As
thing.
long as you're getting them average and high 50s, yeah.
Yeah.
it's fine.
It is the good thing about being risky in the front row, where compared to some of your other positions,
Like if you risk
It's
not having
not-
a gun centre,
they
you're
could,
missing out on
they
hundreds.
could, they could score 150.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
If you don't pick a certain prop,
You're missing 30 points.
yeah,
Maybe.
you
Yeah.
know,
And that's if they score a try.
exactly.
That's at worst.
Or have a 2 Dave Fafita runs where they rack up 36 points.
And
in
that's the
2
thing
runs.
with front row. It's not too bad in terms of points
Were there-
compared to price rises.
Were there any base players that caught your eye or not yet?
Well, the two that I mentioned were, Saluka Fafita, who's a little bit above base, and Xavier Willison, who's... No one at that 208 looks like they're even going to get anywhere near the squad.
Yeah.
So
the only other one,
really comes down to
I'm
injuries and suspensions.
interested in Sione Fainu from the Tigers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Only that I feel like it's a pet project. Like they've brought the brothers in and they're going to... I liked what we saw in the... Was it what game and a half he played for Manly? He reminds you a lot of a Tupanua, angular... What am I wrong in saying, Barn? An angular back rower? Like
Yeah.
hard to... Like arms, legs and...
Hard to tackle.
Hard to tackle.
Yeah.
Almost similar to Stefano in some ways. If he starts off the bench early or at 200, I think he makes money. I'm not just saying he...
absolutely.
And then the Parramatta forwards. Very interesting. I think that the days are gone, but if Joffa ends up working his way back into... Joa Fungawe works his way back into a starting lock. I know he's got probably a bit of uphill there for Madison now, fit and whatever else. But at 350 in days gone by, that would have been a bargain. But the other big one, which I was coming around to given Parra's draw, is Campbell Gillard, who was fantastic at the start of last year, but ripped his asshole out and whatever else, the poor bugger. Was the form front row of the comp last year.
They just both Parramatta forwards don't score tries.
Exactly, but they have high bases, and you also
yeah.
know that they're going to play 50 minutes because BA does not
That-
let
so
them off the
that's-
field.
That's the thing. So yeah,
I think it's weird to say that. What is he? 30? He's probably younger than you think. What is he? 30? Campbell Gillard.
yeah.
But he almost has more. I think Borlo's over the hill, or I think
Campbell Gillard's still-
RCG's. Yeah, and
the-
I can see
yeah.
him being a real low picked pod that's going to do being the
He
same.
started. Was it last year or the year before? He started like
Last year was fantastic.
Yeah, and the
Fantastic.
year before that, I think it was Paulo started
Yeah.
like a house
Well,
on fire.
For last year, it was Paulo Tuesday. Last
Yeah.
year, we were just raving about how he should be in Origin.
Yep.
And so he's one. He had a terrible year, injury, never really got going again. A couple injuries, and I think he can come back. And
But you are right. He'll play. Him and Paulo will play 60 minutes.
yeah, and
they're
you just
those
know,
type
it's
of
just,
pods
They're
that
just bankers.
you
Those
just put
guys,
them there.
500,
if you
maybe.
can get 2 or 3 offloads out of them a game,
Yeah.
that's the difference.
And that was the
between-
problem. Paulo put
That's
his
the
offload
difference
away.
between 60 and 80. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
If
yeah.
Paulo offloaded like he used to, he would be in a lot more teams because he would average 80.
Because the one that the good one that puts someone through a gap
is
or-
always there for a line break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And if Paulo's doing 5 offloads a game,
Getting the line break
The
assist. as
sad
well.
thing is
Yeah.
under. It's not sad because Parra had a fair amount of success, but they.
what?
But under other coaches, they'd be different players.
100%.
Different players. Back row. Let's get the back row, which is. It's.
I find this the hardest.
It's hardest because this is
You've got
like
7 players as well, so
you got 7. You've got
whether you go depending on how hard you want to go,
Six.
or 6, sorry, yeah.
6.
How hard you want to try and bury, because realistically, you probably want 3 guys in that position.
But you know what this spot is? It's when we have a draft and it's like you get this and it's a potluck and it's like I can still get him. You start. These are the guys you still get 50
Oh, the
pick
depth,
and you go,
there's a
I've got.
million of them.
All of a sudden you got Olakuatu at 50th pick in the draft and you go, oh, how good this?
What is there?
And you don't
150
lose one,
players
mate.
or something you can pick
Yeah.
in this position for 6
Yeah.
for 6 places.
Yeah.
And there will be guys that jump completely out of the ground and make shit tons of money in this position.
Yeah.
There's
It's about
178 listed.
Trying to
There you
find
go.
them in the right.
And I've read out the
at the
key
right
jewels,
time.
but obviously Jewel crosses over here. There's some CT dub.
The top three from
Yours?
last year were, who do we have? We had David Fafita at 832, average of 81. Tino, we mentioned in the front row position. And Hopgood, 748,000, average of 73. So you're looking at these
Names off the
averages.
bench.
These guys are averaging 70 and 80. There's not a lot of positions that you've got guys running around averaging 70 and 80. They're more your star players, like obviously, as we mentioned, Grant at hooker, your fullbacks, and a couple of the top wingers and the halves. But yeah,
Look, again, Tino, D Fafita, the two talking ones, I guess. At the prices, let me just go over to TRF. Hopgood, Nakora, as you said, all over 7, and then the next. Tohu loses Jewel. Scott Sorensen's done well to be top 9 there. Actually, just looking at this. We've said it's a tricky one to talk about, so I might just jump to the ones that... Look, you can't really go wrong. Pick your poison. If you've got some of those top 10, then you're going to be right. If you've got a couple of top 25, you're going to be pretty close to the mark. Really interested now to see if Hoskins nails down the Canberra starting spot, because he was fantastic. He was Hopgood level for Penrith early on till they wound him back. If he gets a starting edge at Canberra, I can see him having a fantastic year. Cal actually wrote in to mention Tyson Frizzell, but yeah, we know what we get there. Very good. And and he also mentioned Dylan Lucas, who
he's one
is
I've
now
got written
in the
down.
clear because he could end up in the centres, he could end up in a wing, he could end up in.
He's
that
got a
back row.
dual centre too.
He's
I'm
dual
pretty
as
sure,
well.
isn't
He's
he?
dual CTW. Ewan Aitken's not dual anymore. Interesting.
No. For mine, you're looking for your offloaders, the guys that do play a bit of short balls. That adds your line breaks, your line break assists, that kind of stuff to this position, and your explosive ball runners, the blokes that hit those holes better than anyone else, the ones that are going through the line and scoring tries.
2 Bulldogs because of it.
Okay.
Who have you gone? Curran and
Kickout, both going to make money, averaging around 40.
what's Kickout at the moment? Oh look, I've got this right in
And
front
yeah,
of me.
he very
468.
He's
and
making money on that.
very interrupted
Curran.
season
Yeah,
last
if
year.
Curran 421,
He's making money on that.
and they would have bought him there to play, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
You would think so. He should get
So
good
if
minutes
they're
at the
both
Dogs, yeah.
starting round 1, I can see them both in my team.
Yeah.
Very
I'd
good.
be very surprised if I don't have at least one of them.
You're itching to say something.
I'm quite interested in how Tohu goes this year. Last year was quite up and down with his injuries.
Still average 66. Yeah.
Punched out 60
And you remember
every
that
week.
Yeah, but
66.
whether he was
Bloke
playing,
fucking-
missing,
He's averaged 66,
He's limping
and he
for
walked off. He
55.
walked off after 8 minutes in one game. He
Yep.
got knocked out in another game, and he played off the bench in his return game. Like he's just, and he's just re-signed for 2 years.
My other one's Hopgood. Does he?
Can you let Greg finish? For fuck's sake!
I'm actually curious as to whether his body's going to allow him to go back to playing full games, dominating as he was for the times that he was on the field, or if he's going to have more of a Taumalolo last year.
Even more injuries, you reckon?
Yeah, and just be broken.
Was he 35?
I think that's
Cheers.
maybe.
Getting out.
I think that's maybe coming the year after. I think you probably still got a good
Got
12
one more,
months out.
one more good one. Could come down to
Something
Sean
about
Johnson.
Hopgood, which I will discuss later.
Okay,
Hopgood?
Open the batting on Hopgood's and then
Oh, well, do you think he gets second-year syndrome? We've seen it plenty of times before.
yes.
I don't. His attitude for mine, I can't see it happening. He just
doesn't
seems like
stop.
one of those mongrel
Can you
dogs
explain
that
why
just
he got? Why, and I
continually-
guess I know he's young and maybe he was carrying injury. Why did they get to round 15 and then they decide he's only a 40-minute player? or
Brad
something?
Arthur.
There must be more to that.
Yeah.
He must have been well. There must
You probably
have been.
find he had
He
a
might have had a
niggle
niggle. He
here
might have
and
had a
it has
niggle.
to
He probably had a
First-
tear in his knee and they didn't
Yeah.
want him
Yeah.
to snap it the whole
Needle him
way.
up and I go, look, we'll get you through. Yeah.
There was talk that he might make Origin, and he's like, "No, we're not going to have that." We've
That's probably a point as well because there was a bit of that at the back end of Origin last
That's
year.
it. It's like, oh, we've got a really fucking small chance of making the finals, and this guy's that chance.
Be all you can be within reason.
I love his attitude. I love the way he hits the ball.
He's a Queenslander.
He's got the offload
As bad
in
as it
him,
sounds,
and
he's just
he's aggressive
a
defender.
mongrel
I
football
just
player.
can't see him. I can see him maybe dropping off a fraction, but not
What were you going to
falling
say,
away.
Ben?
No, I was just shit stirring Dane.
Oh, okay. Right.
nothing out of the ordinary.
Olakau'atu's just signed a 10-year deal, 8-year deal.
Fuck.
What you see, what you get, or is there... Now the interesting about Olakau'atu, and the flip side is Papa'i, and it's not so much because DC is there. Luke Brooks is not a big back row connecting...
He'd probably be on the other side, but anyway, wouldn't he?
He probably won't. It won't be his problem
He'll
because
stick
DC
on
will
his
do it
left,
anyway.
yeah.
But he's not one that uses his back rows a lot, as some of these other halves do. And so
Well, who's on the left then? Because they might get a bit of a downgrade. With Brooks.
Schuster's averaging 12.
Schuster. Yes. Is anyone lining up for... Remember when Schuster was the
He'll be
second
right.
highest picked player last year? And I just shook my head in astoundment. But the
They
flip
might
side...
be better off having Luke Brooks running holes and fucking Schuster passing it.
I know we're in a foot race. I know that for sure. But the other side
His
of that...
attitude was
The,
fucked.
the other
last
side
year.
of that
Jeez.
is you've got Papi, who we know what he's been. We know he was a Supercoach god for years. Brooks goes. Caesar comes in, who it comes from
Loves
a
a short
background
ball
of
and a
short
short
balls
rubber.
to back rowers.
Don't tell everybody.
You're getting,
It's almost like we're doing a podcast discussing
you're getting
it.
Isaiah Papi for 500 and
100, yeah, he's
for 500.
I think he's undervalued, and the fact the
change.
Tigers. So with the Tigers having to buy that first round, if
people just brush him on the back of the buy as well.
Yep. So he's that perfect guy to either go up and buy before his price rise,
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you,
or if your top, or if
you
your
can
top
play
guy
him like-
fails.
Yeah,
So you say you
you jump on
start
a
in
dud
with
for
a
the first 2 weeks.
yeah. Say you bring in a Fafita, gets a HIA in round one,
Yeah.
and he's got a 200.
you can.
You
can
go
take
for-
300.
Perfect
Yeah.
downgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's going to come back. He's now coming. Yeah, but he's now coming back to a halfback that loves back rowers.
Exactly.
And a team structure, and that's going to be around Mickey. It's going to. Benji's on record saying it's going to be around grinding football.
He'll still average 45 plus tackles a game, and he'll now have the running upside back into it.
You mentioned Lucas, average of 54 last year. Probably drops off a fraction. I'm not sure if he gets...
Well, he's exposed now as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think he gets targeted a little bit more this year. Might be one worth wait and see if he does drop 50, 80K and then jumping on him. Tom Gilbert for mine is a big watch. Only played the 11 games last year. Is priced at 60 because he still was averaging 59 in those 11 games that he played. And I'm pretty sure 2 of those were injury games as well. So that to me says that
effort.
the bloke's probably looking at averaging 70 if he's back on the field and fully
And what
fit.
about his mate there,
So-
Lemueli?
Yeah, yeah.
He was injured as well.
But he started the season on fire, so
Yeah.
I think they've priced him pretty well, smack on. To be honest, I don't see him improving much on what he did last year, just because of the rate of improvement that he did have into last season. Might improve a little bit, but it's probably not someone you're going to be making huge money on and being able to trade somewhere else. It'd be someone that you might pick as a reserve that's going to hang around for half the season.
What's your stance on Bateman?
I think he's going to be better this year. I'm really excited about the Tigers' back row getting it right this year. Because you remember, both came off World Cups. Bateman didn't start last year till around 6 or whatever it was.
Yep.
Again, hooks up with a back rower that's with a halfback that's got to a grand final with Caesar. I think they're both in the game. I think they're 620. I haven't touched him, but only because I've sort of got excited about Hoskins.
Yeah, I think he
could
might
easily
be.
do it.
He might be someone as well that if he gets to 550, you probably want to jump
Just
on him.
scoop up. Yeah. And it's Tigers are such an interesting thing because who knows what to expect. Because they've got a tough first few weeks, but they also play Dragons, Bulldogs, Canberra. I think they could be
Yes.
they could be 3 from 7, but they're playing at the other top 4
doing
teams.
fucking
And
cartwheels
and
if
you
that
be
happens.
and you be going, fuck! They only lost to Penrith by 8. How good?
Could you imagine?
No, you don't want to see me do cartwheels.
Sia Wong, 462.
There's another one. Another one's going to play
averaged-
80 minutes to the Roosters.
Average, he's probably priced close to it.
Good player though, absolutely.
I could
good
see
player.
him, increasing what he has been doing and maybe making a little bit of
Who
money
starts now that the other Baker boy's gone? Who starts? No, both Butchers are still there.
for you. No, Egan.
One of the butchers is
Oh,
gone,
Baker's
isn't
gone.
it?
Baker's gone.
Baker's-
Baker gone.
oh,
not
Baker.
No,
Butcher.
so both
Yeah,
Butchers
yeah.
are still there.
They probably both still start.
Yeah, so one starts
You got
locking.
Crichton. There's fucking 1,000.
Well,
Too many.
to the
They've got
point,
too many
because
forwards.
he's 445. I don't know where he's at with everything, but if you go avoid this year, the last 3 years he's averaged 76, 75, 66. So like one of the greatest SuperCoach back rowers of all time. And then he hit last year. Is he gone, or at 445 is it a risk, or you just wait and see?
I wouldn't be touching him for
The thing is, at 445 you can give him 6 weeks, and if you can buy him at 500
4
anyway.
or 5 weeks at most.
Yeah.
At the
You know what
earliest.
A-grade Guzzi brings to the table.
Bo Firma didn't play a game last year.
You and Aitken missed. Oh, he said
Priced
Never mind.
as
the
a
same person in my head. I don't know why.
467K. So he's
I'd give it a
basically
few
been
weeks.
priced at mid 40s,
Yeah.
low 40s. was punching out 60s and 70s there a year ago before he got injured, 2 years ago. So
With his twin brother, Ewan.
Ewan, yeah. Taumalolo, has a player ever dropped as much as he has in SuperCoach?
no, I don't think so.
3 years ago, he was in every team.
I guess Pappy.
Maybe
Say the same thing.
Gasnier.
Gasnier.
When
We're
he
going
was-
back
He
a
went
wa-
from like first when this thing
Going
first
back a
started. He was
long-
like
that's what I mean.
the gun center, and within 2 years he was gone.
Yeah, but Taumalolo, like everyone had Taumalolo for felt like 5 years straight,
yeah.
and now
And if you didn't, you couldn't because he was, whatever, 800. or
couldn't
something.
afford him.
Yeah.
That's
He's,
what I mean. He was in today's prices, he would have been $1 million player.
One that Greg mentioned.
Jeez, our
sorry.
preview is going to be so interesting because I really have to sit and stand in my head and look at the wall and think about what I even do with the Cowboys. Because he's the only Cowboys back I ever mentioned. We haven't mentioned Nano. We haven't mentioned the other fella who I've just forgot his name. So that's how good he is. Lukey. We just don't know with the Cowboys. I don't know what to do with South players this year
Yeah,
because they could run 15th or they could run second. I don't know.
The thing is, the blokes that were averaging high 40s, low 50s are going to be priced pretty much bang on. So unless they come out and start completely on fire, there's someone that you can sort of bit piece in and out of your team depending on, current form, the draws coming up and stuff like that. So they're guys that you look to probably downgrade to maybe if one of your guys is going real rubbish, or slight upgrade into if their form's warranting. But there's a million of them that average 50 last
Well, yeah.
year.
So is Cam again a starting lock this year? Is he going to play 80 minutes every week?
I'm still got a feeling that they're going to play Finucane there.
And he's going to just be what he has
Battering ram for half an hour and then McGuinness comes on. But
Speaking of South players, one that I hope gets a lot more time is Tallis Duncan.
been. Absolutely.
yeah, he was the next one I was going to
100%.
mention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His average last year 35. If he gets that 40 to 50 minutes, and you can see him averaging 55 to 60. There's plenty of talent there. Good footwork, offloads. Another one of those big angular back rowers
Yes.
that are hard to tackle.
Absolutely.
And
he's
he's got
fast.
some pace.
Yeah. He's likable, and I hope I can't imagine him not being the 17.
Priced at 320. So if he's
Yeah.
in the 17, I dare say he's going to be in a hell of a lot of SuperCoach
Yeah.
sides. Howarth, you mentioned earlier, he played the one game, got 44 points. Price near bottom dollar at 238. So another one anywhere near the 17. There'll be plenty of people jumping on him. Two Canberra players. Interesting. They're probably both playing for that one spot. Piru
Yeah.
and Trey Mooney.
I was impressed with him. He made his debut in a semi-final. Or Elim, whatever the fucking final was.
And Mooney's played spits and sparts for 2 years now and looked quite good when he's played, but been in and out of the team more than in the side.
If he's anywhere near the 17, Hawaii Puru is going into.
Well,
play.
these two, I think these two are playing for one of those spots in the 17. So it's going to be a choice between both of these guys. They're both priced
hang on,
at
let's
the same
just
price.
completely off the top of my head. So you got Pappy, Tapan, front row,
Whitehead,
Hosking,
Hosking.
Young, all looking for a spot. That becomes a
Horsburgh.
logjam as well, and Horsburgh's got to start.
injured to start the year, I think. Missing a few weeks at the start of the year, but will come back.
That's where it's like the Roosters. Like you go, yeah, it's good, and you go, well, actually, it's a bit like Spencer Leniu. Like, what are they going to do with it? I'm really keen on Peru too.
Yeah,
Like, if he makes 17, he's going to make 200 grand.
Well, I think one of these two will, and they're both 238.
Yeah.
And I think they're much the same player. Mooney's probably got a fraction more ball playing and offloading, but Peru's probably a little bit more destructive running. So, yeah, there's two guys there that you probably want to keep an eye on. We mentioned Hosking before, average 50. If he gets, I would imagine he probably gets even more minutes in this Canberra side. Maybe not at the very start of the year, but 6-8 weeks in, I can see him probably playing 80, and that average probably jumps by 10. And yeah, that was about it.
I've got to watch on Mav Gaia to
No,
see
of course.
where
Yeah.
obviously he's coming at some point.
Yeah.
Base bound this player. No Leniu, no
Hosking.
So they've got a bench to fill.
Yep.
Just a Matamura, I hope ends up at 13 for the Tigers. I think Pole's a better Spencer Leniu style player than he's not a ball stripping back rower as such. So Matamua, they're also, I think Kit Lowy, same for the juniors. One of those I hope ends up there at some point. You mentioned Puru. Kai Pearce-Paul came over. He's got a
Big
sprint
reps,
as big
yeah.
as a SuperCoach workhorse, but injured, so he's a watch.
Rugby
Super League,
Super League.
but
okay.
apparently he's an absolute
Oh, yeah,
workhorse.
yeah. Sorry, I was thinking
and
the other.
lots
different
of smart judges tell me he will live up to the hype, but he's coming over and having his ear surgery, or he's had surgery, so slow start to the year there. But he's 300-ish, keep an eye on it. At 393, last question here, for me at least. They've obviously backed Luke Garner over Hosking and co on this edge. They must like him in Penrith. Is he worth another go without Hosking, without Leniu, without these
I
guys?
can see him being back out
Or
of
you
the
had
side.
enough? You
Yeah.
just get...
I can see him, like, he may get a start at the start of the
I'm
year.
just
but-
asking because he's the one they kept over Hosking.
Yeah, but he got booted before skiing. So
No, he got injured and then he never really
No,
got back. Yeah.
Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. No,
Just asking
not
a
for
question.
me.
No. Anything else from these?
Well, there's one other
Sweet.
name I had here, similar to Dylan Lucas, Dan Russell from the Dragons, who should probably, again, another one that should get more increased time
If
than
you
what
want
he did last
cheapies
year.
that have to make money because they have to play 80 minutes footy, him and the Couchmans,
Yeah, I was thinking Toby Couch.
Is priced at $480 though, so
Russell is.
how much he gets to move, I don't know. You know, he might only get to $550, which is still $70K, but
Yeah.
what's the price of a trade? Everyone says it's $150, but
Oh, no, a beer for Daggy.
Everyone's back teeth aren't floating anymore. No,
Hurrah.
one's not looking through the sepia eyes. Halfback. News today that Sean Johnson's in a mood with an ankle entry, as previously discussed. Knocks out potentially one of them. Who wants the first crack?
opens a huge door for another one. But
Short and sweet.
Hines 970, average of 95. Cleary averaged 89, 912k. Sean Johnson 793 with an average of 77.
Is this A or B?
A or B?
A and B.
I think
It's-
you
A and
can't,
B,
you
yeah.
can't
Lots-
carry both of them. At the
Lots
start
of people
the year, I
will,
don't
and
think.
why could there's some good judges that tell you may as well. But
I'm A and
If
B.
they're both punching
if they're
out,
both got 120,
if they're both
yeah.
punching out 90 every week, yeah, you can put them both in there. But I just think it's way too much salary cap to be holding in one position at the start of the year.
They're the best two scoring players in the comp.
Absolutely.
They're going to be the best.
They're going to be the best two scoring players in the comp. Before this Sean Johnson news, I had two other potential options. Option A is Moses if you want to risk it at the start.
I have massively. I'm only jumping in because I was going to mention, but I'm just going to jump in. I've come around to Moses today because of the draw.
Yep.
And he does love being a flat track bully.
My-
As the sprint.
My other
That
one,
being said, his back end of last year was as good as he's produced.
Yep.
So
my other was Caesar. Is at a good price.
yes,
And then Chanel. If Sean Johnson's out for an extended period of time with how low he is priced, he could definitely be worth it with either pairing either of them with Cleary or Nico. But you're guaranteed everyone will have at least one, and I'll be shocked if 60% of teams don't have both.
yeah. Caesar interests me, and I actually went back and dug up, and correct me if I'm wrong, people will, because they always do. But obviously, he didn't play last year, so he's on SuperCoachStats.com. But research was he's never a massive SuperCoach scorer, Aiden Caesar. But he did play. He played those couple of years where he was left out of the team every second week because he was playing Sam Wing, whatever the fuck Ricky was doing with his halfbacks for 2 years there. So I put it this way: I think he's 340 now. If he's a full-time halfback, any full-time halfback worth of salt's going to get to 500. aren't they?
Exactly.
Isn't it as simple as that?
Yeah.
Well, he's averaged, with that price, he's averaged at about 35 points. So you would imagine he'd be pushing 50,
Yeah.
which, should see 150k.
And then
On top of
it's
his
not-
price.
and
Yeah.
once he gets there, he's not your problem anymore.
Exactly.
As long as you can keep him on the field for 8 weeks,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
probably what you're going to need to realise that kind of output. There was only one other one that I meant. Oh, there's two other guys that I've got written down that Danaan didn't mention. Tanner Boyd, probably his best year he's ever played. I can see him. That team at the back end of last year was starting to go upwards, and if they could continue going like they were at the end of last year, goal kicking as well. Priced at about half of your Hines and your Clearys and produces about half of what they produce. So if he could get a slight uptick on his average there, it might be somebody worth looking at. And Sullivan, where he sits now in the pecking order.
Bud or
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So if he gets a full-time starting role, average of 45, should probably push up into the 55s, maybe $100,000 to be made, but it's not someone you're going out looking for. So
I think it could be more with Cleary especially. If he's 1.1 mil coming into Origin, do you sell him?
quite
It's
possibly.
Possibly, but
the
it's also
problem
then
is
you're
if-
getting back, and you also get to buy there anyway. So it's like
That's what I mean. So that's my bigger
we don't.
question. Like, because I plan on just having the two of them and set and forget.
Nico
but
and yeah.
The issue is
Well,
if
like I
Nico
said, good
gets
judges apparently.
if Nico goes into the 17, then
That-
you don't
that's-
have a halfback at all. That's
but,
the only
you
issue.
know,
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter if you're only
And
doing
then
head
when
If you're
tough-
only playing head to head,
And they
yeah,
play
I
what
don't
they
know.
just pick the 13. It's just your
It's your
score
top
off your
13 anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's another one that you
So-
mentioned.
Should mention
They've made
it,
it
but
so much
it's
easier.
just easy mode now,
during
SuperCoach.
That's it.
Origin
Haven't won it
time.
yet, but it's easier. Easier.
Yes.
Yeah, I've come around, like I said, only based off draw. I'm starting to think Moses is worth a flutter. A lot of these are hard until I see, because I'm just going to pick the one if the least
Trials,
owned.
how
I'm going
the-
to pick pods as well because
And your forwards dictate a lot on how well your halves can play.
Mm.
Like some of these guys can play off the back foot, but there's some of these halves in this comp that just cannot play off the back foot. So if their forwards are getting beaten up a little bit, then changes your view on how they go for SuperCoach stats. So.
I saw an interview where Nico talked a bit about how he's realised he's into being, the guy that he needs to let his team play football sometimes rather than trying to be the team. I wonder if that, I don't think it's going to negatively affect him, but I wonder if that slightly brings it down and puts a bit more faith in Trendle. I don't think it's bad for SuperCoaches per se, but it's an interesting thing to see. Greg, very quiet.
Yeah, the only other one that I've sort of given some thought about is Jack Cogger.
Yeah, but does he make team?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Chanel Harris
I know,
Davina is
you look at it and go, well,
Yeah.
Chanel Harris is the massive one. At 238, if Johnson's sitting out 8 to 10 weeks of the start of the year, he's going to be
and
in
it's fairly
90%
certain because
of the
Volkman's
teams.
gone. They're not going to play They might play Tamari Marnus,
Martin and Metcalf, yeah.
but
possibly.
he's going to be in and around the conversation.
Yep. Well, then you'd probably
lost.
find that he goes into your 14 if he's not in the 17 in that sort. But that's only if Johnson's out for 6 to 8 weeks, and at near base price, even playing at 14, there's there's a good case to be made that if he's playing 14 or in the halves, then you probably need to have him.
We've covered it off. That's it. That's halfbacks. Like I said,
Be a similar conversation for the 5/8s, I would imagine.
like I said, I would not talk you out of just picking the top two and closing your eyes and worrying about everything else. 5/8s. Cal likes Tommy Dearden. He's told me, but it is
Right.
very much the haves and have-nots in the 5/8s, and given the draw, potentially, maybe Dylan Brown is just and given his interrupted season, he still averaged nearly 80. Maybe picks himself.
I had Did and Mam to start the year last year, and it wasn't until I sold them both that they both started playing well.
I've been all over Dearden for the last couple of years, to be honest. And
jeez.
when he's good, he's red hot.
Yeah.
But he does have spurts of 3 and 4 games where he puts together very little input. Hopefully, his growth of a footballer that should change. But
Brown's an easy pick,
yeah, absolutely.
and then I don't know.
Yeah.
I want somebody cheap, and
I think
Caesar
the only
Caesar
two-
actually is down as 5'8".
Yes,
Yep.
he is.
So he could be.
Brooks is down at halfback.
Yeah, so Caesar could be my
might
second
be the one
pick.
that goes there, and then you can carry
Yeah,
your 2 millionaires.
yep. Because that would be a lot of money after going Nico, Cleary, and Brown. That is a lot of money wrapped up in that.
So you
those
got Brown
positions.
at 781, average of 76.5. Munster 729, average of 71.3. Walker,
It's an incredible Cody Walker average.
Cody
What
Walker,
he did,
average
and
69.
in my head, he did sweet FA for 3/4 of last year.
Yep, 705k.
With their start, that's why I'm leaving him at the start. Let him drop.
I just
And
can't,
then-
except for one I'll get to in a second, I just can't touch South's players at the moment.
Young Fainu's in as a
Yes.
5'8". Someone, obviously, you'd be looking at later in the season. how he's performing if he's in anywhere near the 17. But at bottom dollar, someone that you may look at halfway through the year. Puru for the Sharks if there is an injury or a change in that half position with Trindle there. If he finds his way out of the side, Puru's another one at bottom dollar that you could be looking at halfway during the season.
Does Kyle Flanagan play 5'8" for the Dragons?
I think he has to
At
now.
this stage now.
Because he's around 300.
Well, the other one that is 219k and is also a dual is Paul Turner. And almost by default, he might end up being, there's no one left.
That's true.
But yeah, that was my only other
Left field
thought.
option that I think is worth maybe.
They
a
literally have
shout.
no halves. They have no halves.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, it's not someone to
well,
play
they
in
have
your
Brent Hunt
17.
and they have Kyle Flanagan, but they have no halves.
Yeah.
KO Weeks.
That's
moved
exactly who I was about to mention.
He's moved sides, 273k. Only averaged 26 last year, but he's a dual as a fullback as well. And if he's playing full games of football, that average should be 50.
Yep.
Not 26. So
The Sheeple, I'll tell you the three players the Sheeple will buy, because Sangster will tell him so, is Lenu, the bloke you just said, Weeks, and the bloke we talked about earlier that we crapped on about that's cheap.
There's been a few of them.
Forgot his name. I had a mental. I literally just said it as
Position?
a three.
What position?
I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Move on. The two blokes that everyone will buy. Oh, Ethan Strange's probably one. Everyone will tell you to buy Ethan Strange.
He'll
as well,
tell you to
'cause
buy.
he's
He'll tell you to buy
Right
Duncan
point,
from
yeah.
South.
Tallis Duncan as well.
Yeah, he'll say you need
Yeah.
to be on him because.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the same as everyone starting to rave about Sean Bloor
Yeah.
because he's now at Melbourne. Like, mate, he's going to play off the bench and play 20 minutes if he's lucky to start.
That's it.
Wake up to yourselves, everyone.
He'll lose 15 kilos before he plays 15 minutes.
And I think he's a good. I think he's a great player. Can be.
Oh,
a great player, but he
Bellamy will turn him into something, but
or his legs will fall off. Like,
Yeah.
There's no in between.
yeah.
We didn't have the Luke Brooks discussion. Yay, nay.
not for me.
No.
Needs to prove himself. I think going into a new squad could be fantastic. That Manly side has all
Suits
sorts
him.
of
They're a fast side.
attacking players that can cause all sorts of mayhem out wide. They could be the leading point scorers early in this competition,
Mm-hmm.
and if that happens, then it definitely leans towards
The
you
Ticks,
having a look at him.
and at the moment I've penciled him because I'm sick and can't help myself. But the Ticks for him are a fantastic support player. So he's quick enough to keep up with a lot of the. If Tommy makes a break, he'll keep up with him for an inside ball or vice versa. Breaks tackles, good long kicking game. Won't have to do a lot of it. Can pick and choose, and is probably the fastest 5'8" in the comp.
Yeah, it's a lot less pressure as well. with
And no
him
pressure.
ball-
So it
with his
all
ball
upside. And in a comp that's just got no one else, I wouldn't talk people out of it. 560. If he was 100 grand cheaper, it'd be like
Everyone
fucking
would have
bang.
him. Yeah,
But 560
everyone would
you're in
have
it.
him. If he was
I'm
420,
a little bit.
440.
I'm a little bit strapping my exactly right. I'm a little bit strapping my wagon to Ezra this year. I think that grand final
Yeah.
was the turning point.
Yeah.
It's like he can realise he's a superstar. And at 530, well, there's no one else. So there is, but you're talking about five blokes.
Someone that could push into the realms of being up in the averaging 70s, and if he's doing that, he's now one of the top two in the SuperCoach, and probably makes 120k on top of the being, points as well. So,
And that's only a try assist and a try or three line breaks every game. And he,
well, I
seen him
think
produce that.
they said he got 150 or something in the grand final.
Yeah.
Like,
Considering the
If he was
options,
super
how
coach.
high
He
is,
scored a couple of tries in
Yeah.
fuck all.
set one up.
considering the options, how high is Brown's percentage going to be? Ownership percentage.
depends how many go Munster, I reckon.
I think it'd be about 50 because you've got your
50.
options like Munster. You're going to
I
have
reckon lots will go.
a few people.
Lots
will,
don't like him. Lots do like him, and the same as Munster.
A lot of people will
I
be
reckon-
banking on.
75% of people will own one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes sense. But
Yes.
between the two,
And the guys that don't will probably have the likes of
and a lot will go Cody Walker because a lot.
Luke Brooks, Din,
No, and a lot will go
that
Cody
are, that are
Walker
100 grand
'cause-
cheaper, and it just gives you 100 grand to spend somewhere else.
A lot will go Cody Walker because it's like
200 grand cheaper.
SuperCoach safety blanket. They, the blokes that don't follow it religiously but play SuperCoach.
Remember him
Well,
scoring
Cody
a
Walker.
Yeah, he scored
Yeah.
a 200.
And
I'm going to pick him again.
Yeah, and same as when we get to fullback, they'll go and pick Papenhausen.
And there'll be
or
weeks that
Joy Rich.
everyone will be going, why don't I have Walker in my team?
Of course.
But
And
But
then
it's
the
the
next,
weeks in between
and
where
the
he's
next
shouting
week
at
he will
everyone
get
else.
34, and you'll.
Why was he my second pick in the draft?
22.
Mentioned Ethan Strange. You mentioned Latu Fainu and Lockie Galvin. I suppose those two are fighting out for that. Now, Fainu and Galvin are the New South Wales halves, so they're both the Tigers. One might get a gig. They're both pace cost. Cool. Luai, anyone?
No.
Alrighty. How about we get to the CT dubs? We mentioned Ethan Strange, who's a duel with that. I mentioned Paul Turner, who we ends up suddenly playing 5'8" because he's got no hooker, and Kyle plays 9. At 2'10", he's a 2'19", probably a pick. But CT dubs, this is the place most people will crowbar all the cheapies in. Also the place.
I will have 7 of the cheapest 10 players.
Yeah, and a lot of people do. It's almost is it almost a pod now, Barn or Greg, given he's going to do it, to actually go and look for a couple of guns early and try and cash up, or are they too hard? Like it's just such a hard position to get your hot form ready.
It is pretty hard. Someone like Azarko might be a set and forget. If the Dolphins are going well, he's a goal kicker. Shouldn't drop too much from where he was last year. It's probably someone you can hold for the entire season. If you do want a pillar.
No, okay. Isn't it incredible that Marzu finished as the highest priced?
Yeah.
Because he just breaks tackles.
I know why he did, but the Titans didn't want him.
The tackle busts are ridiculous.
Neither did the Eels. We fucking got rid of him after we had him.
Was it 2 or 3 points for every tackle bust, and the bloke made fucking a couple hundred of them.
But the good thing is with your CT dubs, as much as it sucks not getting that 150, they're 2 low scores away from dropping 200 grand, and you can pick them up
100%. Yeah.
And that's where
in the space of a month you've sold 2 blokes, made 500 grand, and upgraded.
Exactly.
And if you're a draw stalker, you can go right. Knights have Penrith and Brisbane
so
next 2 weeks.
I say I'm going to pick 7 cheapies. I might start with Sevo, just with the run.
Bro.
He's going to score.
He doesn't know what a run is, does he?
But you know what I mean.
You're right. The fact is, I've crapped on for half hour about how Para's got the best draw. So in terms of can he rack up 12 tries in the first couple of months? Yeah.
But you want your bench as a minimum as.
Who's the other Para winger to start? Did they bring Russell back?
Russell, most likely Russell.
Yeah.
You want minimum of your bench, which is 3 players at pretty much bottom dollar.
Yeah.
And they're going to make you, hopefully 200, 300K over the space of half a season.
And then you don't play them and watch them score.
80s
Who was the Titans player? Was it last year
before? Khan Pereira.
Khan Pereira.
Pick him.
Play him, he scores 12. Yeah. Don't pick him, gets a hat-trick. Yeah. Put him back in, scores 12.
Yep. He did that to me all last year.
I think it is the most painful position because it is a pure gamble.
Well, and they're in the hand. The thing is that position is in the hands of everyone else.
Yes.
Realistically, I'll probably be looking at 2 guys that are proven try scorers and tackle busters in the likes of your Marzus, your Youngs, your Asako, who's a goal kicker, maybe a Ruben Garrick. Have 2 of those guys in my 7, and the other 5 are there purely to make money.
See, this is why I'm disappointed the Dragons aren't good, because Lomax would be a great player. If they could score more tries.
I'm so interested in Lomax because
with his goal kicking,
but it's Flanagan's pet project.
Yes,
he's on record that many times saying he wants him to be a fullback.
Yep,
he needs to go doing this. He does. He's come out that many times and said what he should be doing. He's 630K.
It's just too
I don't
much.
have him right now. It's a bit too much. But
what's the top guy worth?
Marzu's 789.
So you got 100 grand to move if you're lucky. And that's only if he absolutely brains it.
Yeah,
you got to average 80 to get that.
So
that kind of money,
it is so interesting, Lomax. But I can see him losing points and then getting their shit together.
Garrick's a pretty safe one in terms of the top players.
So the top 3 last year,
because his score doesn't revolve so much around Trbojevic because
no, it doesn't.
Because he's got the goal kicking,
so
and
the Dragons have
what he loses goal kicking wise, he gets by being the fullback.
Me looking at the Dragons draw, though, they have Titans, Dolphins, Cowboys, Seagulls, Knights, and Tigers. From a Dragons perspective, that's a very generous draw.
Yes, it
There's
is.
3 or 4 games there that are very winnable if they put their
Absolutely.
best footy out there.
If they turn up, yes.
Yeah. And they were competitive at times, for probably half, 3/4 of the season. There wasn't a lot of games where they just got completely belted. There was a quarter of them they did, but the other 3/4 of the time they were having a crack. Like they were getting handled comfortably, but they weren't getting flogged.
He's
So-
on the Lomax point, he's a tackle breaker. He's
Yes.
he's obviously
He's
an
an
offloader.
offloader. He's a goal
He's
kicker.
a goal kicker.
He's a good jumper.
He's a try scorer.
Yes.
But-
He's
And
just in a
if he
shit
plays
team.
fullback, and if Flanagan's going to like grab him by the balls and say, "Mate, we're going to turn you into a footballer."
If he starts fullback, he'll be my side. I think.
I agree with that.
Yeah, me too.
If
I
he
agree.
starts fullback,
I agree.
So yeah,
Uh,
Mazu averaged 77, 790. Isako 783, average 76.7. Gay guy, which obviously came a lot to the first
Yeah.
half of the year. He absolutely murdered it. 739,000, average of 72.4.
everyone's favourite steroid user's back. Are we,
Zeri.
Bronson Cherry?
Bronson Zeri.
are we touching him?
No interest. I have no interest in Bulldogs.
I'm not
players
even.
this
They have to play him centre. I think he's probably would be
year. Does he
better.
even get a game? How does he get a game?
He plays in the centres.
Centres.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
hang
think
on.
he plays in
Hello,
the centres.
Burton, Crichton, Perham.
Burton's playing 6.
Yeah, Perham's going to be fullback.
You think Crichton's playing fullback?
No, Perham.
Perham. So
Well, one of
where's
them will be
Blake Taft
playing
going to play?
fullback.
Where's Drew Hutchinson going to play?
Drew's on the bench
Drew
at
will
best.
be on the bench.
Next to Blake, next to Kurt Mam. So
Kurt Mann. Yeah,
he
that's
just
right.
he just picked the best. He bought the best
maybe they
17
can borrow
players.
Spencer
And you just
Leniu for
gotta,
half hour again.
you
We'll
know,
fit him in there somewhere.
you just got to fit
Two
him
of
in.
those guys will.
Drew
two of
might
those
end up
guys
playing
won't be at the
13.
side.
I don't think Sherry makes a team.
I think he plays centre. I honestly think he plays centre. Perham probably starts at fullback. Nothing to say 5 weeks in.
You know what
that
happened? You know what he
Crichton
does?
doesn't end
I
up back
reckon
there.
I'll
but-
always put money on Sherry scoring a hat trick in one of the trials.
Yeah.
He'll blow a team away, and they won't pick him round one.
Well, maybe.
But
See the photos of him now.
I
It looks like he's on
prefer
more
that.
roids than he was before.
he's
Yes.
humongous. Yeah.
He's gotten a bit smaller.
I prefer they do
No,
that
yes.
than they pick him in round 1 and drop him in round 2.
You should have seen him fucking
I
12
agree.
months
Yeah.
ago.
But
halfway
Serrato,
through
it'll be
his
like
suspension.
Serrato's grand plan.
Halfway
We'll get
through
him
his
right.
cycle.
We'll do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Halfway through his suspension last year, he looked like he was a fucking bodybuilder.
Not wrong.
No, but I look. If I'm Serrato, I'm just putting Burton and Crichton to centres and.
We're
working
telling
the rest
Gus, go get me
You
another
need
5'8".
halves. Well, you're going to play Hutchinson and Mann in the halves.
out. Hutchinson, Taff,
Hutchinson and Taff in the halves.
Sexton, and Taff.
They do have
Sexton,
they do
Hutchinson.
have a lot of utility there. Yeah. It's true.
He's bought a team full of utility.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
when
Gus
you-
was there.
you
They're
really
all
only
footballers.
15,
They're all
16, and
footballers.
17
I've
are
bought-
all 14s.
I've bought 17 footballers.
Yes.
Watch them play.
You only want 4 of them, but he's got fucking 8 of
I
them.
have such grave concerns for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's not looking pretty.
Are they last or is the Dragons last?
One of them.
One of them. One
Yeah.
of them.
I think.
It's not the Tigers.
all
It
coming
won't be the Tigers. If it's the Tigers,
all
I'll
coming up
do a
Millhouse.
season of the show in the Nud.
340,
All
345
right, guys,
K.
it's nice seeing you.
Don't invite me back. 345K for Zeri, so he's been priced at an average of about 30.
Who?
For Zeri.
Sherry.
Sherry, Zeri, fucking whatever you want to call him.
I'll add
Bronson,
that to the
Cherry,
I think he said for
Cherry,
Zeri.
Zeri.
He doesn't know what he's saying.
345K average at about 30. So if he does get a spot, he's probably
And then you
someone
got
that's gonna make
Kiraz,
money.
and you got my man Blake,
Yep.
and you got Fox.
Yep.
So where's he playing? Left, right, out.
Fox will play, and Kiraz will play.
And Blake will play.
He might.
Maybe.
Adrian might be on to something
Maybe
here.
not. Yeah. There's going to be a couple of blokes that are
Don't tell him that. He'll
Do they
keep
have any
thinking.
forwards? Kurtman's going to play lock. Kurtman will play lock.
They're in
so
so
much
one of my
trouble.
cheapies, I
God, they're
think,
in a lot of
gets
trouble.
run.
Who's that front? Sam Hughes, good player.
One of my cheapies, I think,
Sorry.
gets run is Chevy Stewart at the Raiders.
You reckon he gets a go?
I'm hoping so. Bottom dollar.
Where's Smith Shields gone?
I do not know.
Titans?
Titans.
I think he went to the Titans.
He won't play either.
Yeah. Probably not.
Stone Street. How far away is he?
He's a fair way back in the pecking order. I'm pretty sure.
I from
You've got the likes
reading
of
between the lines
Iro,
of
Deeks, and
I'm pretty sure Fitzgibbon, I don't say all but said, but in his interview in a telly this week, he basically was like Iro and
Dykes.
Dykes are the centres.
Yeah.
Both worth looking at.
And
Now,
then you've got
it's
we
the,
haven't mentioned Connor Tracy.
and
who
then
was
you've got
the
Atkin- you've
fucking
got
Sharks'
Atkinson.
best fullback last year.
you got
Yeah.
Atkinson there as well with the Sharks. So I think Sam Street.
It's going to be
Stone
one of
Street's
those
fair
years,
way
though,
behind.
that, like,
Where's Connor Tracy play for the Bulldogs?
I don't see
Like outside Sherry?
many
Maybe
players.
centre,
Inside
yeah.
Zeri.
Inside Sherry. Sherry's getting further and further to the bench. He's getting off the bench by the looks of it.
I'd play Tracy
I
at
think
fullback. I did
you
set
do
would.
probably have a point here, to be honest.
So
They did unearth a
the
couple of
Bulldogs.
good outside
The Bulldogs
backs
might
last
win the New
year
South
and-
Wales Cup. They've got some,
Hutchinson and Mann will lead
probably
them to the
will.
New South
they've
Wales
got
Cup.
they've got a great lot of backups there.
Gus just won't
probably
come to
will.
first grade. He's going to reserve.
That's
grade.
it. I've got a plan.
I can't wait for the Bulldogs season preview.
Young's interesting.
We'll do it handing upside down from the roof,
Tom Young, 640,
which is nice because usually when Tugs play hanging the right way from the roof.
average 62 last year. Does he go up or down?
Who?
Going to the Roosters?
He goes
Tom
up.
Young.
Whether he goes up at
Average
the
is
start,
About the
62.
same, I can say.
About the same.
All these short kickoffs, they've got a 7 foot tall back line now, so
Herbie,
nothing but short
for
kickoffs.
mine, I think he probably goes backwards a little bit this year.
Yeah.
I just don't think he gets the same kind of opportunities. He will in at times, but not as consistently as he did at the Broncos. You mentioned Wilson there at the Dogs, 530, so I think he might be a fraction overpriced at the moment. Just because we don't know what the Dogs are going to produce and how many opportunities he's
He'll
going to
score
get
20.
out.
now that
tries
you've
in reserve.
now that you've mentioned it, I'm not touching a Bulldogs back.
I'm
player.
not touching a Bulldogs player.
Yep.
Faialago at the Storm, does he get a run?
He's a trap.
What do you? Yeah,
He's
a
not
trap.
gonna get
Surely
enough of a
Pappy
run.
starts. If Pappy does a full
you think-
preseason, he starts.
Well, the big thing is Pappy going to start at fullback?
You'd
They're
have to
not
play
gonna-
him at 14, wouldn't you?
He probably plays 14.
But at Bellamy, 14's a risk.
340
And they got Garlic,
so
who we
he's
trust,
probably
Wishart, who we
That's-
knew they trust.
That's what I mean.
average. He's priced at about 30, low 30s.
Yeah,
so
no, leave me out.
bit of a
Wishart's
trap.
great for a single digit
They'll
score.
be in Sangster's team now.
And you mentioned Iro. If they do what I've been calling for 2 years and fuck Talakai off back into the forwards and give Iro a crack at 219k, he'll be in 90% of teams.
Taylor May.
Yes.
Breakout star 22. He's priced in the 430s. Now the number one centre there.
Definitely underpriced. He was I think he was pumping out an average of like 600k
Yes.
before he got injured.
He
So
will, if he's back and his legs stay on, he will be.
I think he was.
600
Yeah, I
again.
think he was worth 620 or something when he got injured.
He's in my
So
team. Taylor, he'll be back. Your forgotten gun, and him and Tango are a super
They had a
combination.
real good combination going together.
So easy to find. Selwyn Cobbo playing centre now. Going to move in a pair. That means a bunch more tackle busts. I know he's 600, but he's going to
Might
have.
mean a bunch more missed tackles as well.
It does, but he'll be busting tackles left and right.
Yes,
He'll have
yes.
120-point games at centre.
He will, absolutely. Yes.
And the other one that interests me a little bit, Jack Whiten.
Oh,
Getting to
that's
South
who I was
with-
just about to
with
mention.
a clear mind,
Yeah.
slotting on that left edge, which I've got right for you. All he has to do is stand between his two best mates, Cody and Latrell, or some combination of the three.
What's his price?
Surely 529.
So he's averaged at high 50s.
He gets 50 for them, doesn't he? Playing centre. No,
He's
and he-
gonna-
In
he's-
their
He'll score.
good-
He'll
In their
score.
good games,
He will-
does.
he
He will
will
score
not
the
pass
most
the
tries
ball.
in a season.
So who is the winger?
Doesn't matter. The fast bloke. Munro.
Yeah, exactly. It won't
Munro.
matter.
Doesn't matter
like
because
the
Latrell's
fucking ball.
passing to him. Cody's either going to
No,
go.
no. My
and-
point
He's
is
saying
whoever
the
that
ball
winger
won't
is
go past.
will not make
Exactly.
it to the winger.
One of those three inside him going to score, so you don't worry about the winger.
Yeah, so
It'll be
whoever,
Jack
Yeah.
White and score.
whoever is on that wing that Jack
Yeah.
Whiten is on will be the lowest scoring winger of SuperCoach next year.
Well, AJ, is he on the left or is he going to be on the
No,
right?
AJ's always on the right.
There, so
And Samo
it'll
is
be
always-
Munro.
No, but I'm
'Cause-
just thinking what side they're going to play.
I tell a lie, no, AJ's on the left.
AJ's on the left.
AJ is priced at 596. He will finish the year at 450.
It's 250.
Yeah, all those
playing centre.
AJ on track to break the all-time record.
They'll
We'll
have
score
to
a
kick
try
it
this
to
year.
the
Will have-
fucker to get him
He
to
will
score
have the
tries.
lowest scoring year. There you go. There's one for your.
And watch all at their bold prediction.
Yeah, there's my
And watch
bold-
watch the media just going, we can't work out what's wrong.
That's
So
it. My
whoever's
bold
out-
prediction is
whoever's-
AJ will have the worst try scoring year of his career
Less than 10
if Jack
tries
Whiten
for the
is the
winger
centre.
outside Whiten.
Yeah.
How's
Wow,
that?
that's fair. That is brilliant. And Whiten will somehow Whiten will still have
He'll have
23
20 tries.
tries.
He will be the Dally
and
centre of
and
the
8
year.
try assists because he'll be tackle busting
in.
for Latrell.
Yeah, back inside the Latrell. Latrell and Cody on the inside. The Dalium centre
So
of the year.
Whiten, we're on. I'm on Whiten.
I'm a little bit worried because I think there will be games where he'll be punching out 15s.
Yes.
I
But that
think
happens
there-
all the South backs.
Yes.
Except for AJ somehow.
So
No, AJ's,
AJ is a
no,
freak. in that
AJ
even
has
when they
had
play
games.
badly,
He's had.
he's they'll get beat by 40, but the 2 tries they score.
I wanna
AJ
watch-
will
He'll still
score.
end up with
Yeah.
60.
Yeah.
I want to watch how South start the season, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've got a funny feeling that they
Like I
might
said, they
not
could run
start that
15th.
well.
They could run
Yeah.
15th, and we'll go, oh yeah, makes sense.
They're
South fans will be screaming at me in the chat.
That's it. I don't see their coach making the season. So
Yeah, okay. That's a big call.
Yeah. If they
don't start well,
if they lose the first 4,
Yep.
all the shit will hit the fan. Now.
that's it. You've brought Wyden in, you've done this, you've done that, and it's all fallen
One
apart.
more that might be a little bit forgotten. I'm not sure. It's another Ricky Stewart one. Does he hate Savage, or is Savage any chance of playing somewhere? Because if he is at 350k,
what even is Canberra this year?
Don't get me started on Canberra. He was averaging 49,
that's-
so he's already underpriced as
Yeah.
it was
That's
when
why
he was
I was
playing.
saying that
So
Caleb Stewart, I think, gets a run because Ricky just doesn't seem
seems
to
like
like
so
it.
they're
Yeah.
basically-
Savage,
Tomoko is 587, Rapana 557, Chris 465. Chris could end up as 5'8" for all we know.
Yep.
There's talk of it.
Savage 350, might not get a game. Kotrick down there. Yeah, who bloody knows? I do think Ethan Strange plays.
I think there's
because
going to be
he's-
at least
he's on a
one
problem.
cheapie.
Ethan
coming
Strange
out of Canberra.
Strange.
Yep.
He's gone down on a promise.
Yep.
I think he's either from Tigers or Para,
Yeah.
and he's gone down on a promise.
I've gone down on plenty promises.
How's that work out for you?
Normally okay.
Alrighty, a lot going on off air here.
Fucking hell.
It is. Fullbacks, here we are. Fun. Sorry, my brain just stopped. No, I was just
Ponga
going
was the top fullback last year with an average of 87.5, worth 892k. If he comes out the way he finished last year, then you're buying him straight away. But question marks on
Isn't
that.
it? I keep interrupting.
Drinkwater 83.5, 851k. Tom Trbojevic somehow was still the third highest fullback in the game.
What?
He
What,
was.
isn't he priced
He
ridiculously?
did average 81 when he did play.
I know,
Like,
yeah.
He
Yeah.
played his 11 games, and to be fair,
He'll play
3 or
another
He
4
played
11
about
this year.
18 minutes a game.
3
for
or 4
those.
of them he was busted as well. So an average of 81 in
Don't you be
Remember
going-
that game on
don't
one
you be
leg?
on
He
the
had
outside.
150
You're
on
the
one
one that
leg.
picks him first in draft every year.
1 year, you
That
son of a
question-
bitch.
yeah.
So 833.5k was averaging 81, and as we said, 3 or 4 of those games were injured games as well. So could be anything. Could be a big steaming pile of something. Walsh with 19 games, average of 79.6 at 813k.
It's funny because you go from halfbacks to here where you almost don't want to trust anyone here just yet.
3 years ago, it was like you picked the top 2 and you.
Well, we'll get to the draft soon 'cause you mentioned
Yeah.
draft. But like,
It was
3
like you
years
picked
ago, it
Teddy
was
and
Teddy
Turbo?
or nothing.
Teddy Turbo,
T-
and that was it.
And you got fuck all for the return.
Yep.
And then the next year you had to have it was Turbo. Whoever won
Yeah.
was Turbo. And last year's whoever won was Cleary.
Yeah.
And like the number 1 draft picked every year just falls off a cliff sometimes.
Yep.
Anyway, we're talking about fullbacks. So yeah, is there one here you can trust in the first 8 rounds? I
Gutho and Buller.
think that C. Gutherson is just the one you pin your mask to is going to do the job.
He's not going to have the highest score, but he'll be top 3 average.
I think if you want to go
So it's
with
such a good
someone
start too.
that is going to give you what they averaged last week, week in, week out, their price is going to change fuck all. Maybe there's probably not going to go down, would be Kennedy for mine from the Sharks.
He started on fire last year.
Very good in producing attacking stats, in setting up tries and scoring tries.
And it's good
off
that they
his own
sold their
back
best fullback
sometimes.
to the Bulldogs as well. So now he gets a crack.
You're a fucking idiot.
So play off the bench.
But going through them, Ponga,
With that mighty Bulldogs
Ponga
team.
almost 900. I don't think he keeps it at the start. Drinkwater 850.
Possibly touch it.
I don't know. I don't know if he.
Tracy
Drinky will come
had
back
some
to
fucking
earth.
good games,
Yeah.
but you can't tell me he was fucking better than Kennedy last
I just
year.
did, mate.
Tom Trbojevic.
Jab, jab.
Tom Trbojevic at 833 is a risk. Walsh with the Broncos starts hard at 813. They're the top 4. They're all risky. Gutherson average 79, priced at 807.
Now I'm getting goosey because I'm just excited to talk about what's going to actually happen this year. Because the more you think about all of these fullbacks are reflections of what their team could be or not. Like you sit and go,
100%.
Latrell, fucking just
But
pick
that's
him.
the thing.
Well, they might finish last.
Gutherson, they could finish last, but Gutherson's still going to
but
average
you-
80.
By the same logic, you just go, well, Dylan Edwards is safe at 70. Might
Yeah.
even go up. With no Crichton now, he's going to have to do a bit more work, that sort of thing. But, With no Crichton now, does he have to do
Latrell-
too much work?
That's it. Latrell's risky to start the season. Tedesco, when's the last time he started at 707?
Yeah, exactly. In a
But
better
can you
team.
see him averaging more than 70? On current form,
His
I
game's
can't see him
150
averaging.
will help, but
Yeah.
How many of them do you reckon he's going to
Especially
push out
because
this
he's actively taking
Half a dozen.
less of, especially because he's now taking less of a role.
I reckon he gets over 100 less than 3 times this year,
Teddy?
to be honest. Yep.
No, he doesn't.
Yep.
He scores 3
Teddy?
hat-tricks this year.
I'll take that bet.
I'll take that bet too. Because he is still a fantastic supporting player. He gets lots of those first tries where they make half a break and then here comes Teddy, and off he goes and pisses in.
The big one that's probably going to be the
And
trap.
also he's 60 after 10 minutes and he doesn't do anything else.
Yeah. The big one that I think is going to be the trap is the young
Pappy.
Melbourne player.
No, well,
Far longer.
first of all,
Yeah.
it's 6:45. Do you want Pappy or is it a wait and see?
Wait and see.
Yeah, 100%. I can't have
Everyone
him.
steams
Coming off
straight
the
into
back of,
Pappenhausen.
back of his injuries, I still...
Like,
Like,
the fact he's still playing
he still
is
didn't
amazing.
look comfortable in the couple of games that he played at the back end of last year. So
All right, sorry, I cut you off. But so your 65 average at 664 for Bubba, you're bullish?
I think he can...
Is that what you're going to do?
I think I can see him averaging at least 5 to close to 10 points more than what he was. If the Sharks are probably one of the most potent attacking teams in the competition, and if they can start with that ball sweep, the backline sweep that they had going at the start of last year, I think he can come out averaging mid-70s to start the season.
We didn't even touch him earlier. Does Trindle at 4.5 pique your interest at all?
Not particularly. Doesn't get involved enough in the attacking play for mine. He's more of a catch and pass and shovel on and make it
Unless
somebody
Nico
else's problem.
snaps his leg enough.
And like he scores a few tries here and there, which probably boosts his average as well. So.
What do you think, GT? You agree?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be touching him either. It's just he'll get the
Bubba
occasional.
or Trindle.
Trindle.
And then what about Kennedy?
He's not at the top of my list. I love watching him play, but in terms of SuperCoach, I will probably be taking the punt on Pappy.
Okay. Who's your other one if you're going to go?
I'm probably not gonna go straight in. I'm actually thinking Kennedy probably my second fullback and play as a reserve. I think I'm going to spend a fair bit of money in fullback to
Well,
start.
who's A seed here?
Probably Reece Walsh. I know
Straight
they do
in?
have a hard start to the season, but that bloke.
Hard starts are relative. Like Penrith and Brisbane.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
They
it.
do play each other.
Again, looking
and-
forward to our
and-
preview because Brisbane are losing.
But how
as
many
many
times
players
did
as
he?
Penrith are.
How many times did Reece Walsh tear the top
Yes.
teams apart last year?
And he'll be.
Like, there's games
but there'll
where
be
he
games
just-
he'll be 32 with 10 to go. And he'll get 132, and you just be like, yes, I was right.
But
He
there'll
has such
also
a low
After
base,
swearing at him
but
for
there'll be games
Yes,
where
mate,
there'll be
there's no
games where
base.
he's on 60 after 10 minutes and finish on 70.
But
Yes,
there's a lot
yeah.
of fullbacks that don't have a.
Yeah.
How many fullbacks
Latrell
have got
has
a
zero
base?
base.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But then, yeah.
There's not
We've
many
seen that.
of them
Negative
that do.
penalties he gives
If you
away.
want to, if
Yeah.
you want a base, Kennedy and Edwards are your guys.
Yeah.
You know what you need. 305
Probably
metres.
throw Gutho into that
Maybe a
as well.
and
chance.
Gutho.
So,
Chance
So you
as well.
mentioned, you
about-
mentioned Buller earlier, didn't you?
yeah,
Elaborate.
I just
All base.
don't like the fact they've got the bye round one.
And
It just
I reckon there's gold to be mined from the Tigers from a pod point of view because no one wants to touch them because
That's
they're in
it.
last. They're going to buy first round,
that's it.
and then you're going to have Appy, you're going to have Buller, you're going to have Bateman, Pappy.
I think
that
he
will be
gets
in no
better.
teams, and maybe you can have that 2 weeks and
They're
decide
perfect for the third and fourth round
to go get
swap
them.
Yeah.
out.
Go and
Yeah.
get them, yeah.
Yeah,
So
especially with the first week.
because what he averaged around the 50s, mid 50s.
55, and that was with the drop off at the back of the year because Tigers stuck.
57.
I
Yeah.
don't think
So I think he can.
And
he can hit a.
I'm
I can-
bullish that Tigers will be better than last year.
I think he can hit a 70.
Can't get a lot worse.
And,
Exactly right.
And the thing is, if he hits a 70, it's enough to trade him up to somebody else.
He averaged 60 a lot of games by himself.
That's what I mean.
You get Appy on the field, you get Caesar on the field, you get for your forwards moving.
Someone around the
Yeah.
same sort of mark as Cooler. Same sort of average. Same sort of price as Buller. If Tommy goes down, he probably gets, I think, off the back of last year, he probably gets the first shot at fullback. And Garrick stays on that wing. So there's someone that, possibly could be... and he's going to be playing full-time centre as well. So he's going to be playing 80 minutes from the start of the year. probably not going to make you a whole heap of money, but someone that could,
just there.
you'll have weeks where he's going to punch out hundreds.
Here is one though. Is KO Weeks going to be the fullback at Canberra?
No.
Who is going to be?
I have no idea.
Exactly. Could
Could be
either Savage,
could
Chris,
be Chris,
or
could be Tomoko.
Tomoko, or
Because whoever
Rapana.
that pretty
If
much
Chris goes to 6.
it won't be Rapana to start. So whoever the fullback is at Canberra is going to be priced either the 25th from the top or lower. So there's money to be made on whoever the fullback is at Canberra.
looking
I'm
at that
pretty sure
list,
Rapin
you-
has
you
already
sh-
said that he prefers to play wing.
If T was
That's the end
listening,
of
she
last
shut it off right now.
It's either Chris or Savage.
Yeah.
Ricky loves Chris. At
But-
460, wouldn't touch him. If
Might go
Savage
to
gets a
6.
Guernsey,
At 350.
someone can touch him. I don't. What do we do with the Titans combination there?
Yeah.
So AJ's he's not dual, but he will end up dual
Yep.
because he's playing centre. Jaden Campbell is. Des
456.
has said he's 456. He's playing. He's also a 5'8", so he's a sneaky fullback in a 5'8" position. You can get in.
Averaged 45, and I think
Is there
that's,
and that's off in and out and this and that.
yeah.
Is it if he's going to be backed as the full-time fullback at 456? I'm almost interested in him as a 5'8".
Yeah, throw him into 5.
when they're going well, he will be averaging 60s and
Yes.
above. But
He's got that Reece Walsh ability that he'll pull something out his ass.
so-
when he
it's going to rely a lot on how well the forward pack's
They're
going for the
they're another
Titans.
one though. You don't really want to start with them because they've got the bye round 2, but you do want to start with them because they've got the Dragons and the Bulldogs rounds 1 and 3.
And they could put 50 on the Dragons.
They could put 50 on the Bulldogs.
Early season, you don't see too many 50s, but
Yeah, like
and AJ point to prove centers has to probably take on a Crichton or someone, but
you don't want to touch Fafita because of the bye, but at the same time, he could have 6 tries after two games.
gosh, it's tempting. So, do either of them interest you though?
They do. And it could be one of them ones where go with them, and if it doesn't work, that's where Buller
You've
comes
got
in.
Out, yeah.
Mentioned Iro in the centres. He's another one. At
Tigers
fullback.
are like the little parachute this year, aren't they?
They are.
Week 3, you can go and grab them now.
Well, has any side
Oro's
ever been
fullback
up?
too,
Have
isn't
you
he?
ever been able to afford a full team under the cap?
Well, it turns out a few can, but no, it was. If you see it on social media, you can buy the entire
the
Tigers
Tigers.
side.
You still got like 400K left to go,
plenty
don't
of
You had
change.
1.4 mil or something, didn't you, left over?
No, but I didn't buy doing that.
The Sharks had about 300K left over.
bought,
I managed to get the Sharks team in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was to 17. And
Oh, wow.
So you can. Yeah, it turns
you
out
did
can.
have to throw in like 2 bottom dollar blokes, but
You
got
got-
them in with
you got
300K
25
to spare
Sharks,
or
did
something.
that?
Yeah. So
I almost want to.
just fucking around.
I almost want
Find it out.
to. I almost want to add Mariah to my
She's
league
gonna get.
just to run the Tigers team against everyone and see what
Oh,
happens.
give everyone a win like in the NRL.
Oi.
No, they'll win 3. They'll win 3.
Yeah, 2 buys.
One of them will fucking be against me. You watch it.
Yeah. And the other be against Lloyd or someone. He'll be spilling.
Kyo Weeks and Iro, both duels that can fit into this fullback position if they do get a spot wherever they're playing, Canberra and the Sharks, both priced very low. So if they're in the 17, then probably somebody you want to go and get. Whether you shovel them
Very
into
yeah.
5'8" or
tick or something.
fullback or centre, but. I think we've all mentioned Fa'alogo is probably a trap unless it's proven that he's going to get a run of 6 or 8 games of 80 minutes.
At
It's
what
not-
point are you safe with that? Bellamy comes out and says, Pappy's not back till...
Pappy breaks himself again, yeah.
Pappy-
Is that what it is?
Isn't
The
Pappy
moment
he's
he's
broken
broken-
again?
Isn't
Yeah.
Pappy
You jump
doing
on him.
pre-season? Isn't it? Isn't
He's in
all
America
systems
again
go?
or something, isn't
Oh,
he?
really?
Oh, great. So he's fucked up.
No, like
No,
to
isn't
make
it?
sure that he's 100%. I thought I read something
No,
that he
don't
just
know.
went over just to make sure.
There's when we get off air, which is good for all listeners, I'll read that. There's a interview with Bellamy in the telly, so I'll read that
I
later.
thought
Yeah, I
I'd
think
seen
you're going to go
something.
pretty strong at the top with the fullback position
But so
for at least one of them.
But I like the
But-
fact that
but
there's
you're saying
6 options this year, which is good.
yeah, generally it's Teddy or Turbo. And,
Yeah.
This year, Knights have to still, to me, have to not revert to the mean.
Yep.
So I don't really want to charge into Ponga. But the rest, yeah. Pappy's going to be very popular. I almost want to.
I think you need to. You're going
I
to.
think Walsh is. I still feel Walsh is overpriced to start.
You're gonna have to
quite know
spend
where to go,
$650 or above for your starting.
Oh, I got no
fullback.
doubt, but
And
who it is, I don't know. I just think I might just curl into my Gutho bed and be
I
comfy.
think you might
and,
be worth.
and I
going
agree,
and-
either Buller or and I'm always weird because I look at like as you would have noticed, I look at with Tigers glasses at some of these blokes, but Buller, Puppy, or Appy all look good to me, but maybe I've got my Tigers jersey on.
Yep.
Anyway,
That buy though gives you
Maybe.
the buy gives you that chance.
Unless,
yeah,
unless,
and that's where it's like almost it's just my little parachute there.
unless Iro or Weeks get a start, they'll be my backup fullback. But other than that, I'm probably going to shell out $1.5 million and just double down at fullback from the start of the year.
As opposed to a hooker or somewhere else.
This is
First
where,
choice fullback.
Gutherson.
Walsh.
Gutho.
I think I'm Gutho too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gutho and back it up with Pappy for me.
Okay. And I'm either looking at, for some reason, I just have a hunch about Brimson this year. Otherwise, Baller. But again, buy is throwing that spanner in. Have you blokes
Campbell
done?
or Kennedy?
Have
as
you
my
blokes
backup?
done a? Have you blokes picked a team and team picker?
Not a proper team.
So I was going to throw out and ask a team.
No,
Do
and he
you-
had the Sharks.
should I? Do
The Sharks
you want me to
team.
pause and you gonna have a crack at it? No,
I haven't got
you don't want to do it.
It's too hard right now.
Not tonight.
I don't know enough cheapies yet to make a side. That's the problem.
Fair enough. Just thought they like putting teams out there.
I'm sure we'll do another one of these in.
We'll do a
couple
couple
of
of show
weeks.
after the trials.
If you want to run through yours, mate, we'll sit back and we
Yeah.
can pick it apart if you like.
He already done his. It was the Tigers team. He's got
It was the
400,000
Tigers.
players.
$1.5 million.
Yeah, why not? Well, at least I've done it, but it's not something I'm particularly happy with, and I'm going to change.
Right,
How many trades have you used so far?
12.
27. Let's have a look at this. Let's put your aim in there. Grant and Moser starting. Obviously, these are pending.
Yeah, of course.
Teamless
Yeah.
Tuesdays. RCG, Nelson, Fish, and Sione Fainu in the front row. Tino, Isaiah Papi, Hoskins, Puru, Matamua, Gaia in the second row. Obviously, again, cheapies.
I wouldn't be
just
happy
run.
with it either.
You're all wrong. Cleary and Caesar, Brooks and Mam, but I feel like that's going to change. I think I'm going to just get stuck into Dylan Brown. Cobbo, White, and May in CT Dubs.
I like them.
And Alameo, who's the new signing for the Tigers, again, just a placeholder for the cheapies. Strange, Turner, Stone Street, but we'll
Yeah, don't
find
like
some
any of
CT
them.
Dubs. No, they're just
Yeah.
blokes I've thrown in. And Gutho. And, that second fullback spot leaves me uncomfortable here. What have I got? I've still got 9 grand. Oh, I actually can go Gutho and Kalen Ponga. There you go, Gutho, Kalen Ponga to start the season.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid fullback.
That's not bad.
So
Over under 10.5.
I think you're
If
going
those
to...
stay in by the time round 1 kicks up.
How much cash you got left in
Over
the bank?
10.
right now,
Over 10.
30 grand.
Yeah, I think you're going to need about 300. I think you got a couple issues in your
Yeah, well, you
front
already
row
said
and your
Brown.
centre.
You already said Brown, so that's about 300 there, just
Yeah,
in
yeah.
one position.
But it's Tigers heavy, and with a buy, I think I'm going to revisit that.
Bias is
And
strong.
I think that I'll think long and hard about Harry. But that said, it's Harry Grant, so it's not like I'm wrong. It's just who it is. And Blake Moser may or not be there.
He's
No,
gonna,
mate,
he's gonna have more than 10 of them not selected round 1.
Oh, absolutely. But it's we'll readdress. We'll readdress
I took a
this.
screenshot of my team last year, like the very first team I put together. I had 3 blokes
I
fucking
think
left
I've done,
over.
I think I've done this.
I think 10.5's a good line.
No, I don't. I think it should have been 15.
I had 3 blokes left out of the 25
I-
that
I-
I'd actually picked.
I did. I think I've done the same. I hope I've done the same.
Okay.
I reckon you'll blow that up 10 times before it starts.
Oh,
yeah.
once Teamless Tuesday
That'll be
hits,
before next Friday.
once the Tuesday hits, I'll just be. Oh, well, we've got that weird period where those 4 teams play 3 weeks before everyone else at the start of
Is
March.
it 3 weeks?
No, it's only a week.
Yeah.
But I have to sit and
I had it, but I
you have to
deleted
sit
it.
and watch your teams on. Have nothing much going on. No, but once team lists come out, I don't know how team list Tuesday work that
3rd
week,
of March.
and the rest will play the
7th of
7th.
March,
Yeah.
8th of March. So, yeah,
I will,
5 days apart.
When those team lists comes out, I'll be telling a riot. I'm just going out for a minute, or maybe sometime.
Well, that's a bit of a benefit for those 4 teams, to be honest. They get a fucking 15-week turnaround after a party in Vegas.
Yes.
Not a
15 weeks.
15 weeks,
15
quite good.
day turnaround
Yeah.
after a fucking party. In
But
Vegas.
I think
Not
if I'm
bad.
not wrong, they play each other again. I think they crisscross.
Don't they play each other round 2?
That's what I mean. Yeah, they crisscross.
They
yes.
just switch across.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah,
I didn't even show that today when I was looking at the
Yeah, okay. So
draws.
it's
We're
not
down
as
2 and a
much
bit
of
hours.
not as much as
Um,
the sprints.
An absolute must-have round 1 and maybe a cheapie. Have you got? Or should I give you a little bit of notice while I waffle for a
That
little bit?
a little bit of notice would have been
Waffle
nice.
along.
All right. Don't forget to check out PCTC and get into our tipping comp. Last year we had 65, 70 people. It was a lot of fun. Ollie will be in it, of course. You can beat him up. And subscribe to the racing channel. Show us your tips. Search Show Us Your Tips, Spotify and YouTube. We will have a website coming, I presume, and I hope it's going to be called Beer Garden Sports. We're going to have all our content in one place. We're going to have merch in one place. We're going to have plenty more fun stuff going on. And if you want to sponsor us and get aboard early and pay me lots of money to do this full time, sportsbeergarden@gmail.com. Do you want me to just press pause so you can have a think?
I don't. I
I
don't.
need to piss anyway. All right. We got answers here?
I
Hey, what's the question?
No, yeah.
You dopey fuck.
Who's a better fullback, Kennedy or Tracy?
Tracy.
Frog was interested. All right. Have you got a cheapie and a must-have?
Okay, my must-have will be David Fafita. He'll be my captain round 1 and 3.
Chips in, eh? Yeah,
If
right.
I can afford him, he will be Bulldogs and Dragons. I know they've got the bye round 2. As far as a cheapie, it's hard right now, price-wise.
It is very hard. I know it's a shit question.
If Spencer Leniu does start at the Roosters, it would be him.
The more I look at it, the more I think it's Nico Hines. To be honest, for the first 4 weeks,
Fucking shock me. Yeah.
they play the Tigers. They play
Is
the
he favourite Daggy
They
M
play
as
the
well?
Bulldogs. They
3
play the
points, Nico.
Jesus.
Dally
fucking-
M,
Go on.
Daggy M.
That's right. Go.
Why ask a fucking question if you're going to talk over the top of me, you piece of shit?
Mr.
Seriously. They play Canberra, the Tigers, and the Bulldogs in the first 4 weeks of football, and they've got a match against the Warriors. Can dominate 3 out of those 4 games, possibly 4 out of those 4 games. Averaging 90. Like I can't see him not averaging what he was averaging.
Will be
with his price
will be captain round 2 for me.
for those first 4.
100%.
3 out of those first 4 games. I've got 3 cheapies under 350. One of them's your Sangster tip, Tallis Duncan from Souths in the second row. I think he's one that most people should have. The other 2 that I had here were where were the other 2 that I had? They're very dependent on whether they end up getting a position in the side. But Chanel Harris-Tavita, if he gets an extended run of 4 or 5 weeks, is somebody that you need to have. And Kyle Iro for the Sharks. If he finds that spot in the centres, then he's another one at bottom dollar you have to have, I think.
For me, must have. It pains me to say it, but Gutho, with the run they have,
I'm the same. I just feel parried
Yeah.
up. Don't feel comfortable about it, but there you go.
yeah, it's quite upsetting. But you got to go with the logic there. And unfortunately, Barney stole mine, but Tallis Duncan.
I didn't think of this because I'm for a piss. I think that, fuck it. Jack Whiten. Clearly, Jack Whiten. Get him in the centres at 500.
Must have.
Must have or cheapie.
I'm so why can't believe I said that out loud? And I do with Gutho. I think Gutho's the obvious fullback choice, to be honest. Cheapie, Ethan Strange. I think he starts. He's in at 7 at Canberra. I think he's gone there on a promise, and he will, as we discussed earlier, and will get a start. And also, Aiden Caesar will, if he's the Tigers fullback, he'll hit 500, so you'll make money. So
Tigers fullback.
the other one, 7. Ooh, draft. I'm thinking we're gonna. I think we're doing draft again.
Yeah.
Are we doing the thing we're going to keep the team, or we're going to
I
start
reckon
from scratch?
Caesar's
Start from
going to
scratch.
Start from
struggle,
scratch.
and he'll probably be lucky to average 25 for the first 5 weeks for the Tigers.
That's rude.
Fair enough. I'll probably not with Fainu anyway.
If we do the draft, can I pick last? I'm fucking sick of picking first and second.
Oh, you poor bastard.
Well, I've
Yeah,
went back to back, so I don't give a fuck
We've
how we
got the
pick 'em.
option to keep the franchises, or
Fuck you.
do we do a complete reset? What do you reckon?
Reset.
Reset.
All right, so we're going to do our draft, us and Johnny and hopefully Gump.
Don't mind.
But
I'll
we
put
will.
that on a chaotic fucking podcast.
We're going to
fuck yeah.
podcast it,
Oh,
and we're
fuck
going to.
me
What are you doing,
sideways.
David? Okay.
I can't hear anyone. I can
you hear
hear
me
you
now?
talking, but I can't hear
Yeah,
you through the headphones.
mine's the same. You've
Oh,
touched something.
okay. Yeah, something went wrong. So we're going to podcast and more for YouTube, do our draft. It's
Yep.
done and dusted in an hour. It'd be good. It's going to be, well, it is because you just do the 30-second thing. As such, in your head right now, we bagged the number 1 draft picks. Who are you picking if you get the number 1 pick?
Cleary.
Reece Walsh.
I'm forfeiting my pick after Turbo. No chance.
I suspect it'd be Cleary, but if I'm 4th or 5th, who I'm going to grab otherwise will be Dylan Edwards. Dylan Brown.
Yeah.
I'll grab a 5'8". I grabbed a 5'8" earlier. I reckon it'd be safe.
I think I got him last year.
How'd that go for you?
I won.
I'll leave Nico out there and see if anyone takes him.
Because
first round.
I think I was 3rd or 4th, and it was like Turbo, Teddy, Cleary.
I can predict Barney Sharks team.
Yep.
Nico, Trendall, Nickera,
I'm
Kennedy,
not going anywhere near
Brayley,
Trindle, to be honest.
Hazelton, Brayley.
Hazelton,
Talakai.
He's getting half a bar here thinking about this.
Nakora.
How'd you win the draft? You couldn't ask 1,000 questions about it.
I think Brayley next
What do
year
you mean?
won on the back of Fanua Lake. Is
I
a
reckon
big
I
one.
made an average of 2
Next
trades a
year's
week.
ago, yeah, absolutely.
And the only person that came close to me on making a trade every week was Adrian.
Exactly. Especially, and for you watching at home, folks, if you're going to have a draft and you're not stuck to a slave to 10 people, 6 to 8 people is 6 is a really good number because the free agent pool is still very juicy. You can go and grab people. I think last year I pulled Azarko out of free agency and he scored 180 for me. There's blokes every week that you go, oh, I'll get that guy. That's pretty good.
To be honest, my
So-
Sharks team would be obviously Nico, Kennedy,
Sherry.
Still thinking about this.
no, Mulatalo, and Nakora. That'd probably be about it.
Sherry in the centres.
Hazelton if he's getting more minutes, and Iro if he gets a start. But I don't think that's likely because they like to play fucking a front rower at centre.
Cool. We've talked some shit. Thanks,
Yes.
everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching YouTube, especially YouTube. Tom's doing fantastic. Feedback's been fantastic. There will be chapters up for this, so you can go and watch to your heart's content there, Tavita, and tell us which parts it all went wrong.
Don't know what you're going to call this
And-
last chapter.
Waffle.
The dribble.
The drags.
Subscribe, leave
dregs.
feedback. Tell us who your number 1 draft pick is, and tell us who you'd pick as a cheapie and a best, and we'll read it out next time. And next time you hear from us, we've got 2 hours 10 here. We're in about 5 hours next time because I think we're coming back to the deck because
We'll
Barney
do a
no
trial
longer.
show, won't we? Before then.
Yeah, we will. No, we won't. No, the preview's before the trial.
Okay.
3rd of Feb.
The trials are the
Are we
week
doing
after,
it here
aren't they?
again? Your house is closed now forever and always.
Just throw that out there.
You don't invite us over.
Swing, batter, batter, batter.
3rd of Feb here on the deck again. 3 of us will preview in depth each and every. Do you want to join? You don't. You're pretty up to sit at that one.
Yeah, I'll come around.
Okay.
Nah.
I'll just come and watch the
Come
chaos.
and watch
This
this
2 hours has been enough for me.
Yeah, it's a
12
lot.
months.
But
tired.
last year was 5 hours. It's
I'll just yell at you from the corner.
fantastic.
It's a
the last
5-hour
2 years,
video.
I genuinely do not remember what I said about the last 4 teams, but
Yeah.
it's cool.
Which is exactly why I've got to be here for it.
So,
Yeah, me
all
either.
right, well, you're all right. You're in. I don't give a
The
shit.
first year was the best. Fucking Jesus. You were gone halfway through.
Day
it.
drinking.
And that's when we had producer Tony. He was good. I should get
No, it was the
producer
second
Tony
year,
around.
sorry, that when fucking Gumpy came and you
Oh,
halfway
yeah,
through,
fuck, I
you
was
were
in a world of trouble.
fucked.
God damn it. Last year wasn't too bad. Anyway, we'll get to that. It's a good show. It'll be up on YouTube. Thanks, everyone. Subscribe, like, buy hats, buy shirts, and be good to each other. See you.
Be nice.
See ya.